I've always been a believer in the struggles men have in their minds, and I've always spoke about it, and I've suffered with them myself. And this is one of the things when I say like depression isn't real, people say, oh, you don't understand. Let me counter that argument by saying, I understand very well. Me convincing myself and me deciding that depression isn't real is how I prevent myself from ever feeling depressed. And I've only constructed that mental model because I've been in situations in my life where I felt depressed. I'm not saying depression isn't real because I've never felt depressed. I'm saying depression isn't real because I've been very depressed. That people don't understand where my mindset comes from. I understand struggle and mental health and all these things. And yeah, jail was another chance to certainly touch on them, because in jail, in real life, when you have my kind of resource, you can distract yourself very easily. If you're sitting around and feel a bit mopey, if I'm sitting here and I'm a bit like, I can literally make a phone call and in 45 minutes be in the air on my way to anywhere on the planet with whoever I want to do anything I want. So you can distract yourself. I'm not saying it fixes all mental health, but it distracts you. Whereas in jail, you are stuck alone with your thoughts. And it was certainly a test of my mental resolve. And I would say that I passed. I did well. There was never a day where I broke down. There was never a day where I couldn't handle it. There was never a day where I wasn't polite to the staff. I was very nice to everybody. There was never a day I couldn't hack it. It was certainly a test. And also, Tristan said this. I don't want to take his words, but he's true. You go through life telling everyone you're the baddest motherfucker there is. Sooner or later, someone's going to test you. You walk in the pub and you say, I'm the hardest man there is. Sooner or later, someone's going to fight you. Sooner or later. And life's like that. You want to be the top G and you want to go through life and say, I'm the top G. Then God's going to say, well, we're going to see if you deserve to call yourself the top G or not. We're going to put you in a Romanian jail cell and we're going to leave you there to rot. You're not going to know how long you're in there for. And the biggest mindfuck is I thought I was going to be in there for years. I had no idea. Everyone's telling me years. I thought I was going to be in there for years. So maybe God was just he was watching me and he was having a look and saying, you want to call yourself top G? Let's see. And I like to think I passed that test. So it is what it is. But yeah, I agree with you. In terms of mental struggles, yeah, they exist for all men. And I also think that's one of the reasons I'm so large. I talk about those things a lot. I talk about those things a lot with men and I help men with them. And I try and say to men overall that life as a man is pretty shit. And you're going to feel shit for a pretty large percentage of the time. But you're only going to ever escape that if you just perform regardless. You have to perform when you feel bad. As a man, you can't say, I will perform when I feel good. It doesn't work that way because our heads are too complicated and life's too complicated. There's too much on our shoulders and we have too much stress and too much pressure. Our heads are fucked. You have to be the kind of person who says, I perform regardless. I didn't miss a single day's training. I didn't miss a please. I didn't miss a thank you. I'm not saying I was happy. I'm saying I did exactly what I was supposed to do. The worst thing about prison, I think for everybody else, because there was a lot of men in there who were crying, a lot of men who were having mental breakdowns. I think it is the problem I didn't have, which is knowing that if you're a normal man, you go to jail and they just pick you up and you go to jail. Who pays the rent? Who's feeding your kids? Who's your wife sleeping with? Life gets hard for all the external things you could no longer control, things that were your responsibility. I was lucky I didn't have those problems. And when I spoke to people, most people's issues were things that were happening on the outside. And I felt really good knowing that my life is set up in a way where even if I'm plucked from it, it operates. And I set that up because I thought they were going to kill me. Even to this day, if they shoot me right now, everyone around, everything would be okay. I don't have to exist for my life. So that was fantastic about jail. The worst thing about jail, the cockroaches started off really bad, but after a few days, it's amazing how quickly you get used to cockroaches just in your bed. You just kick them out the way. That was kind of bad. But not knowing when I'm going to get out, that was bad. Having my name slandered all around the world, that was bad. Not knowing how people are reacting to it. My first month in jail, I didn't know if people believed this garbage or not. I had no access to the internet. I didn't see anything. There was a lot about it that was hard. But I have to believe it's going to make me a better person. Why else did I go? What did I go for? To waste 3 months? To stare at a wall for 3 months? Is that why I went to jail? No, I must have gone to jail to become a better person. I must have learned something. I have to self-analyze and find the lessons and pick it out. And I think a lot of people don't do that with all the bad situations in their life. Regardless of whether you went to jail or a woman left you or your business failed, whatever it is, you need to analyze the entire situation and say, okay, what can I learn? There's a big pile of shit here, but there must be a little bit of gold inside. So I've just tried to look at it as a massive learning experience, and perhaps that's a coping mechanism, but I've found a lot of lessons which I'm implementing. And there's a very strong chance they're going to put me back. Not because I'm guilty, because I haven't done anything wrong, but because I'm currently in the middle of a judicial system. I'm in the judicial system of a country. I don't truly understand the language. I don't understand the judicial system. I don't understand the charges against me. I don't understand how any of this can be legal. I don't understand where it's come from. I don't understand the evidence they believe they have. And here I am stuck in this process, and who knows how it's going to end.
I think the universe is absolutely and utterly giving. I've never seen anybody dedicate themselves to something completely and fail. I've never seen somebody eat right, go to the gym every day, train really just fine at night. Going, oh, you know, inflation's 20%, gas prices are 6 times, everything on the news is a lie, I never stand a chance of ever getting rich, where's my pillow? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? I go to bed at night as a teenager and think, I looked it up on the internet. It was a Honda Civic Type R. I wanted one. It was like 38,000 pounds. I had no money. I had less than 50 pounds on my bank account. Couldn't afford it. Then I looked up how much a Ferrari cost. 210,000 pounds. And I said to Tristan, my brother, I was like, there are people with 210,000 pounds for a car. And he's like, yes, so? I'm like, no, not so. How? If I worked my job for 6 years and saved every penny, if I walked to work and didn't eat, I couldn't buy this car. How are people doing this? I couldn't sleep at night when I was broke. I knew that everything was a lie. I knew the Matrix was lying to me. I knew I had to find a way out. I was sitting there going, I refuse to live my human years and be some second-class citizen peasant when there's people out here who get to do whatever the fuck they want. I couldn't tolerate it, and I was so uncomfortable. Everybody, if my entire reality is full of multimillionaires making money, how am I not living this great life? You're doing everything you're supposed to do, but deep inside, when you look in the mirror at night, you know you are sad. And you are sad because your soul hurts, because you need God. When God becomes your ally, then no moral man is worth fear or even respect. I will destroy any moral man on the planet. I fear one person, and that is God alone. So God just broke your heart on purpose to show you that the way you're living your life and the man you are simply are not good enough. What have you changed since? You need to get up and work so hard that even in the eyes of God, he is proud of you. God loves his creations, which show him their true potential and beauty. By getting up and trying your absolute best and becoming a man of moral standing, he will reward you and bless you. You are wasting your energy. Heartbreak is unlimited motivation. If I was heartbroken, I'd be in the gym every morning. I'd be a beast. I'd be running. I'd be working. I couldn't sleep. I'd be an absolute animal. I became me through tedious, arduous, difficult, never-ending work. You're failing God. If you were the best version of yourself and you were waking up every day trying your absolute best to be a unique and special individual, then you would not be failing God any longer, and he would not plague you with this bad luck. And you need to become a formidable force of man that cannot be replaced or replicated anywhere else on God's green earth. That's what you must do. This is going to repeat endlessly. It's a cycle that will not fucking change until you take the message from God and become the man you're supposed to be. If you wake up each day and go, I don't owe anybody anything, I don't have to prove anything to anybody, then you are a loser, because you are absolutely not being correct. You must prove yourself to other people. You must prove yourself to God. God hates the lazy. He can't stand them. If he gives you all these genetic dispositions and these natural God-given gifts, if you have 2 arms and 2 legs and you can think, and you're not trying your absolute best, that's the reason you're not lucky. He doesn't like you. He likes the people which show him the beauty of his own creation. He likes to give somebody building blocks and them to build something amazing. It's the best thing about being a man. You get to build who you are, right? You can decide if you want to be a funny comedian or a musician or a kickboxing world champion or fight the Matrix. You can decide whatever you want to be. I've never seen anybody dedicate themselves to something completely and fail. I've never seen somebody eat right, go to the gym every day, train really hard, and not be in good shape. I've literally never seen it. The universe is extremely giving. If you actually try and you actually want it and you're actually not making excuses, lying, talking shit, you're going to get what you want. So when I see people who don't have what they want, I consider them losers. And this may be elitist. I understand that. But if I put myself through endless pain to end up where I am, it's very hard for me to have sympathy on the man who's afraid of pain. You're avoiding pain. I've been through endless. I now have everything I've ever desired. You have none of the things you desire. Am I supposed to feel sorry for you because you took the easy way out? Am I supposed to look at you and go, oh, poor dude? No, you were a fucking coward. You didn't go through the shit I went through. You didn't put it on the line. So you deserve your substandard reality. Because if you actually wanted it and you actually tried, you'd have it. You could have anything you want. Universe is super giving. There's not a car I can't have. There's not a house I can't buy. If I want to go to a yacht, if I want to go to Antarctica, there's nothing I can't have. Bam. Because I've decided to become this man. It's the same for absolutely every single one of you at home. If you want it, you can have it. If you're sitting there saying, Oh, but I tried my best and I still didn't get it. You're lying. You didn't try your best. That is a fucking lie. The universe gives it to everybody who genuinely tries. And I know that to be a fact because this world's competitive. We're all competing against each other. And the majority of people don't try.
The world is hyper competitive. If you're going to be a man who's going to sit and say, I'm just sad, you are always going to lose in competition to men like me. No. And there has to be losers for there to be winners. I am tired of sympathy. Sympathy doesn't work for anybody. I'm not going to sit here and be sympathetic for people who say they're too sad to try hard and be their best. Guess what? Perhaps I was sad every time I did exactly what I was supposed to do and trained anyway. Perhaps I was afraid when I fought anyway. Perhaps I was tired when I worked anyway. This is how you get ahead in life. I don't have a fucking ounce of sympathy for these people who sit here and say, well, I feel this way, so I can't. Then don't do it. Stay down there. The winners are at the top, and the winners at the top don't give a shit about how they feel. We wake up and we perform regardless of how we feel day after day. So if I'm going to ignore my own feelings, I'm certainly not going to take into consideration anybody else's. Yeah. Why am I going to ignore how I feel and make sure I'm constantly performing regardless, flawlessly, and then sit and go, oh, but he doesn't feel good, so he's allowed to fuck up. No, you are not. You're not allowed to fuck up to your ancestors or to God or to yourself. You have to perform. This is what being a man is about. The baseline of masculinity is doing things you don't feel like doing. I can't comment on being a woman because I'm not one. But the baseline of masculinity as a whole is the thing that makes a good man a man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up, he gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic. You can't sit there as a man and say you don't feel like it. You're not allowed to not feel like it. You're supposed to do it anyway. Regardless. Yeah. So when a man sits there and says, oh, but you don't understand, I'm struggling with motivation. If you are struggling with the motivation to be a winner, then stay a fucking loser. No problem. Stay a loser. Don't care. Because in my circle, there's no losers around me. Your energy is disgusting. I find it revolting. I don't like weakness around me, even near me. Even people coming up saying hello to me. If you're depressed, don't even shake my hand. I do not have time for losers on any regard. Winners only. If you're the person who wakes up, does work, is fantastic at it, but then takes 3 days off, you're going to lose. They say that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. That is completely true. You have to be consistent. You have to decide. Are you the kind of person who wants to make a lot of money in this life and live a life of freedom? Or are you the kind of person who wants to look back when he's 30 on his 20s or 40 on his 30s and look at that decade and go, what did I do with that decade? Well, I didn't get rich. I didn't travel the world and live like they do in Tate Confidential. What did I do? Well, I had a day off here, a day off there, a bunch of nothing days that amalgamate into this decade of nothingness, and you're just wasting your time. If you want to win, you need to be consistent. You don't need to be the smartest, not at all, but you have to be the guy who's there day after day. I guarantee you, I will guarantee you right now, IQ has nothing to do with how successful you'll be as a person. What is going to determine how successful you're going to be is, are you there every single day? Are you doing what you're supposed to do day after day? I can also apply this to sales. I knew guys who were terrible on the phone. Back in my day of sales, you used to have to call companies. I was smooth, I was the best. We had some other guys who were smooth. They'd land the deal, go buy a nice car, whatever, take a few days off, take it easy. We had people who were terrible. When I say terrible, I mean they had a thick Indian accent, didn't speak English that well, didn't know the script that well, didn't know the answers, but they were always in the top 20% of the company because they just hammered the phone. They just were on it. They needed to feed their family in Bangladesh. They didn't give a fuck. They were just calling. That's it. Day after day. When you're on lunch break, he's on the phone. You can win with hard work alone. And that's what's amazing about the universe when I say that. God will give you anything you truly want. If you truly want money and you truly try hard, you truly listen to us, you are going to have as much money as you could possibly ever desire. But if you think you want money, but you kind of want something else, or if you're arrogant, or if you're lazy, you're going to end up somewhere in the middle if you're lucky and talented. And if you're not talented, so you don't want to be a normal dude, because when you're a normal dude, you're a loser. You don't get to do amazing things. What's interesting is none of you have had a normal life. You've had a unique and individual life path. The things you've gone through, nobody else on the planet has gone through. You've lived certain experiences, the school you went to, the time you were picked on in that class, the girl who broke your heart. Every single thing you've been through is unique, like a fingerprint, a completely unique life. And somehow you've managed to stay completely non-unique. It's almost impressive how you can have a completely unique life experience and still end up, how the fuck did you do that? Your life's different than everyone else's, and you still look and talk and sound and act like everybody else, like a dummy. That happened because you have not paid enough attention into analyzing your life, self-analysis, every single time something good happened to you, every single time something bad happened to you, you've not spent enough human hours sitting and thinking and trying to work out why it happened, how to make sure the good things happen more often, how to make sure the bad things happen less often. What was God trying to teach you? He was trying to teach you something. You think, oh, I just got scared. No! God sent you a lesson, but you didn't pay any attention to it. Do you understand? Everything that's happened to you has been sent from God himself to guide you on a unique path. Everything good and everything bad. And the point of the unique path is that you end up a unique person. But you are failing. God is unhappy because you're not trying hard enough. God hates the lazy. God wants people who try. You understand?
Every single man of value has built his value. I think that women can be born with value. Women reproduce, right? And if you're born pretty, you're automatically valuable. You don't have to do very much. You just need to get pregnant at some point. Every man wants you because you're hot anyway. And your life is already good. But as a man, to be a valuable man, you need to have intellect, wit, intelligence, money, strength, all these things. And these things are only respectable if you've built them yourself, right? So I think that the best thing that can happen to a man is to grow up in a place kind of like Luton, or grow up in some of the rougher parts of England. Because if you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, you're never going to truly be happy, and you're never truly going to be respected by the outside world. Like, I know people, since I got rich, and I say that humbly, but since I've become rich, I've met a lot of rich people who were born rich. And there's nothing about them. They have no grit as an individual. They have no resistance to the outside world. They're depressed or stressed because of minor crap. Like, they don't. I'm from Luton, right? So you're gonna, and now I'm a millionaire, and now you're gonna come at me with a problem. Whatever. But these people literally can't handle the world, and they don't appreciate money. They don't appreciate their lives. I think the best life someone can have is starting relatively low down and working your way up, because it's only the progression of life which is interesting, right? It's not the end goal; it's the progression. So I'm glad I was raised in Luton. Like, I recently bought a very expensive car. Too expensive. I'm an idiot. I bought a Bugatti, and when I was at the Bugatti dinner, everyone else there was either daddy's money or oil money, right? And they had no respect for anything. Like to me, it was a massive deal. Like, but because they'd never ever been poor, they had no respect for it. So it's kind of like, you can be a working class man and sit down with a cup of tea at the end of the day, and you'll enjoy that cup of tea more than this oil billionaire will enjoy his $5 million car. Because they have no respect for anything. So if you don't respect something, you can't value anything. If you don't value anything, you can't be happy. It's kind of like if you're in a car traveling at 100 miles an hour, it doesn't feel fast, right? But when you're accelerating to 100, it feels fast. That's how life works. It's not about being in a particular place. It's about getting there. That's the only part that's fun. Being there is whatever. So if you're born with it, then I think life can be kind of sad. So yeah, I'm super happy I grew up broke in Luton on free school dinners. I'm super happy for that. And I'm not happy now that I have money. I'm happy that I've worked really, really hard, like you said, and achieved goals, whatever, whether they're kickboxing or financial or whatever. That's all life's about. That's all life's about. That's a good question. So I was always very intelligent. I always did well, but I did not do nearly as well as I should have, because I didn't really believe in the establishment. I don't know where I got this rebellious streak. But from the very beginning, I'm talking about from the age of 13, 14, I understood, or I believed, that school was bullshit and would not make me rich. I remember saying to my teacher, I was in Luton, right? And there was these two Asian lads, don't tell Tommy, but these two Asian lads, and they had a Lamborghini, and I was at the BP, the petrol station at night, and they were in the Lambo, and I was in my friend's Corsa. We were in a normal car. And I said to my friend, when you look at them in their Lamborghini, do you think he studied hard in school, or do you think he's a drug dealer? And my friend said, drug dealer. I was like, doesn't this prove to everyone that nobody believes you get rich from school? Nobody believes it. I said this to my teacher. He's like, no, but if you go to college and you go to university. I was like, whoa, I'm going to be 20, what, 25? What? No, I want money now. I don't have time for this junk. So I never really tried. I passed every grade with C's and B's. I could have got A stars easily, but I didn't believe in the whole system. And even now, to this day, I don't believe in the system. I'm very anti-government. I'm very anti-bank. I do not believe any of the things we're told or taught in school are useful. I don't believe any of the stuff on the news. Even things about wealth creation. You just mentioned my website. People talk about how to make money.
I have people come to me all the time, and all of their ideas about how to get rich never worked for me. And I'm not saying they wouldn't work for you, but the way I got rich was completely separate to everything I was told. I was told to make money, save money, buy a house. And yeah, that worked 30, 40 years ago. But look at the average price of a house now compared to wages. Buy a house? What? It's going to take me 25 years to buy that house. Like, I want to be rich now. So I think a lot of the things are outdated. A lot of the things they teach are specifically designed to put you in a state of mind where you just obey and comply. This is what I believe school is for. It's to train worker ants. And I didn't want to be a worker ant. So my teacher would always sit there and go, Andrew, you're the biggest waste of potential I've ever seen, because you could be so smart, but you just don't listen. Well, I'm smarter than you now, bitch. So when I finished school, I did go into a family business. My uncle had a fishmonger's, and I used to carry boxes of ice and boxes of fish from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. for 40 quid a day in the cold, heavy boxes of fish. That was it. And I wanted to be a kickboxer, right? Because I started to fight. I started to train to fight. But truly, I've always had the mentality that I just want money. I just want money. I don't believe in the idea that you need to be passionate about something to become rich from it. Do you think the billionaires who sell concrete are passionate about concrete? No, they like money, right? So if you're passionate about money, then you can be passionate about anything that makes a profit. So even from a very young age, I wanted money. I don't know where I got this streak. It's the competitive element in me, right? I think it's for the same reason I love to fight. But I remember I went to college. I finished school. I went to college. I didn't go to university, but I remember walking to college, and a guy drove past me in a Ferrari. And I said to my friend, look at that Ferrari. And he goes, yeah, nice car. And I said to him, doesn't that bother you? And he's like, why would it bother me? I was like, because this guy, he knows something about the world that we don't know. Like, the idea of us saving $400,000 or whatever for this car is insane. What does he know that we don't know? There's a hack in the matrix. There's a glitch. Something's happening, and we're missing out. And he called me crazy. But even back then, I was just annoyed at the fact. I was like, well, no, I want things, and I want freedom, right? I think that's what a lot of it comes down to, is I wanted freedom. So I was always obsessed with trying to find a way to make money. And I very foolishly believed that fighting would make me money. But you and I both know that's the hardest career in the world to try and get a payday from. So, I was carrying fish boxes and fighting at the beginning. That's kind of how it started. So the only part of the story that's not been said yet is that my father is a chess master. My father was a chess grandmaster. So when I was in America, I was very, very heavily into chess. So I was state chess champion age 6, and I was training on my way to become a grandmaster. I would have been a grandmaster by the time I was 12 if I continued training with chess. And so I was doing competitions every weekend. I was always competing. And chess is a game in which there is no luck. It's one-on-one, and it's very brutal. It's a brutal game. So when I moved to England, my chess career kind of ended because my father was most of the time still in America, coming back and forth. I didn't have a coach anymore. Also, chess is not very big in England like it is in America. In America, chess is all the schools and stuff, and I was getting scholarships from chess. There's none of that in England. So all the chess ended. So I was looking for something else, which is one-on-one, which is brutal, which is there's no luck involved. And most sports aren't like that, right? You can have a bad day on the soccer field, but your team can help you, or your team can save you. Whereas with chess and with fighting, there's not. So I was just trying to replicate chess, and I chose fighting. And a lot of people seem to think that's a big jump. Like, why would you go to fighting when you were a chess player? But to me, they were very, very similar. So that's kind of how it went. I was like, well, I can't play chess. Let me go learn how to fight. And I ended up in an MMA gym, and then I ended up sticking with kickboxing. So. Yeah, so I was stupid, right? So I just Googled Luton no rule. I wanted to be a cage fighter because I'm a teenager, right? So I Googled Luton no rules fighting, and I found my coach, who I stayed with my entire career, is a Bosnian guy. He's from Sarajevo. And I turned up, and it was him and 5 other Bosnian guys in this dingy little room. That was it. That was the only fight gym that we had. And he said, can you fight? And I was like, I think so. Put gloves on. He knocked me clean out. And I just kept turning up like an idiot, right? So my first fights were cage fights. I had 7 cage fights. And then I had At the time, K1 was really big back then. I sound like an old man now, but K1 was really big, and I got paid more to do kickboxing, and I signed a kickboxing contract, which wouldn't let me fight MMA. And I ended up sticking with kickboxing, became 4-time world champion. So I fought all around the world, fought in 15 countries. So yeah, it was just a matter of, you can't half do fighting, right? You're gonna either, if you're gonna fight, you have to live it. So that's what I did. I decided, you know what? I'm gonna live fighting. I'm hoping it's gonna pay me some money. And on the side, I was always trying to make some money. I always had these business ideas and schemes. I was always trying to do this and that, as well as fighting. But that's kind of how I lived for a good 10 years, just struggling to pay the rent. You know, even as a world champion kickboxer, it's not like boxing. You know, like I'd make for a fight, let's say 50,000, which sounds like a lot, but you're fighting twice a year. You got to pay your manager, you got to pay your rent, you got to pay your car. You're not rich. I wasn't Anthony Joshua or anything like that, you know. So it was a hard life for a while. Yeah. And the worst thing about kickboxing is the big money is in tournaments. And tournaments is 3 or 4 fights in one night, kind of like prize fighter. So all the big money is 3 or 4 fights in one night. So the few times I got big paydays, let's say 100, 150,000, I had to have to win 3 fights in one night. And no matter how good you are, there's always a degree of luck to that, right? Because you might have the hard guy at the beginning, or at the beginning, you might be fighting, and just by coincidence, the guy throws loads of low kicks. So even though you win the fight, by the end of it, your legs and your shins are completely annihilated. Now you can't move properly, you can't walk properly, and you got 2 more fights to go. Like there's a bunch of luck involved in tournaments as well. And just the way kickboxing works is it's all tournaments. So there's been plenty of times I had to fight 2 or 3 times in one night to try and make money. But I was always trying to make money on the side. And when I retired, I took about a 4-year hiatus. I actually fought twice this year or last year. I came back.
Last year, yeah, 2020.
I came back and kicked some ass again. But I took a 4-year hiatus. And the reason I took a hiatus is I was like, look, I'm giving this 6 hours a day, 6 days a week of my energy. I'm tired of this now. I need to find a way to get rich. I wanted to be rich. I don't know why. I just thought I want more freedom. I'm tired of fucking struggling to pay the bills. And if I take these 6 hours a day I'm spending in the fight gym and put them towards something else, I think I can make some money. So that's kind of what I did, and it worked out okay in the end. So Jake Paul made the call out video. Did you see when he called out Conor McGregor?
I did, yeah.
He disrespected Conor McGregor. Here's the thing here's the mistake that everybody's making about Jake Paul. Because I put this on my Twitter account. You can go back and verify. You know I don't lie anyway. I said Jake Paul's going to finish Askren in 30 seconds. And everyone's like, whoa, Askren's a fighter, blah, blah, this crap. I knew Jake Paul would smoke him because Jake Paul is the person I used to be. He's a cocky, arrogant young man who's training his ass off. You think Jake Paul isn't training? They're like, oh, he's just a YouTuber. He's training with Canelo and Ryan Garcia. They're making out like he's just some retard YouTuber. The guy is training his ass off. He's not running his mouth to people without training. He's getting in there to win. And someone like Ben Askren with no striking skills, of course he's going to get sparked. So I made the point to Jake Paul that, look, you're very lucky that you can make millions and millions of dollars from fighting right from the get-go because you're an internet clown. That's what you are with your little YouTube channel. There's a whole bunch of people out here who are much better than you who can't even pay the rent. And for all of their sake, I want to kick your ass because you've had it easy. Of course you can train hard and win, right? You're getting millions and millions of dollars per fight. You're not even fighting anyone good. So I made a video that called him out after the Conor McGregor thing, and it went viral on the internet, but he didn't reply to me because he knows that he doesn't want it. He doesn't want the smoke. I'd have to train. I'd train hard, but I'd certainly beat him. I think that McGregor is now in charge of his own training camp. And in my experience, I always train the hardest when I was not the boss. When your coach comes and says, you must do this. No, I'm tired, or this hurts. I don't care. Do this more. I think Conor's like chosen to do what he wants to do and is not doing what he doesn't want to do. And for that reason, I think it's going to struggle for him to be as good as he was. That's what I think, but we'll see. Yeah, so I got in the house. I ended up getting kicked out after 11 days, which is, I'll tell you the story of that. But the Big Brother house is a unique place because they deliberately choose. I mean, there's the odd exception, right? There's people like me or like you who would have been seen as, because the producer even told me this. They choose people they see as like mentally resilient. And then they also choose the complete opposite, the complete mentally fragile. So you have this polarity that makes the show good, where some people are just like, what's the big problem? And someone else is having a full-on mental breakdown, right? So a lot of the people you're in the house with are children. And when I say children, I mean they are emotionally children, like crying that they missed their family after 2 days, panic attacks, dumb crap, like over nothing. Like just these are the most mentally fragile people that applied to the auditions. That's why they got picked. So you're in a house with a bunch of idiots, and they deliberately make it very difficult. There's very little food. I'm sure you meet your minimum calories per day by law, right? But when you have that many people in the house and like someone grabs a snack, or there's never enough food, so you're hungry, it's the first thing. The lights stay on 24/7, and the lights are studio lights, so you can't sleep because they're too bright. The house is too hot on purpose. They keep the heating on. So you're hungry, you're hot, you're tired, and they're trying to just torture you into having mental breakdown. That's the whole point. They want you to scream and cry like a baby, right? And so it was interesting for me the few days I was in there. I didn't really say all that much. I was very observant, trying to work out where the true weak links were. And then eventually there was 2 houses. They moved me from one house, the other house, to the main house. And when I walked in there, I decided to cause chaos. And I walked in there and said, look, I've been watching all of your, what do you call it when you go talk to the diary room, whatever.
Yeah, the diary room, yeah.
Yep. I've been watching all your diary rooms and watching you all in real time from the other house. They're all snakes, and you all bitch about each other. So I've been seeing it all. I don't trust any of you. It's just my first words. And the house erupted. I think you can still find it on YouTube. The house erupted. It went nuts. All the dudes started threatening me. So like trying to act like tough guys. They obviously didn't know my pedigree, right? They didn't know who I was. So the whole house went nuts. And what happened after this is there was these 2 vegan girls. They were vegan, and they were completely just, they needed, the producers brought in a plant for them to stroke because the grass was fake. And they said if they don't touch plants, they lose their life force. Like they were completely whatever. And the vegan girl said that I had a reptilian energy and she was scared of me. So she quit. I didn't even talk to her. I didn't even know I didn't even talk to her. So she quit. And then these other guys in the house all started white knighting for her, right? Like these other 4 guys, like, you picked on Emma. I was like, picked on Emma? I literally have never said a word to Emma in my fucking life. I just came in and told you you're all idiots, which you are. Like, what's the issue? So anyway, these 4 guys, it got to a point where they started threatening me. And the diary room went off. I went to the diary room and they said, look, Andrew, we need a guarantee from you in the event of a physical altercation that you'll wait for security. And I was like, no. The rules of the house are that no one attacks anyone. Because these 4 idiot men feel tough in their little gang, and now they think you know there's going to be a fist fight. You're telling me to pull a Floyd Mayweather until security turns up. No, if anyone touches me, I'm going to smash their face in. No one should touch me. I'm not going to touch them. You're not asking me to not attack them because you know I have control, right? Because I have self-control, you know I'll never attack them. But you don't trust these babies to not try it with me. So anyway, we got into a disagreement with the producer, and then eventually they just booted me out for some unknown reason. And the truth was, they realized across months, sooner or later, one of these guys is going to swing and get hurt. And they just thought, look, we have to kick someone out. Better to kick one guy out than all 5 of the other dudes. So I had to go. That was the end of my Big Brother story after 11 days. So I was just too calm, too collected, and I could fight too well. So they kicked me out. I didn't do nothing wrong. I didn't hurt nobody, but that's the story. I did have a plan, and my plan was to absolutely sow anarchy. Like when I first walked in there and I upset everybody, my plan was to make sure everyone was as miserable as possible because I knew that I am too mentally resilient to be affected by negativity in a house. Like, I don't know these people. A lot of these people after 3 days are hugging and saying, wow, we're a family now, like a bunch of crap. I didn't know these people. I don't like these people, right? So I just wanted misery. That was my plan. I just wanted to upset everybody because I believed I would have most influence over the situation if all these people are too busy crying to realize what's really going on. So my plan was always to cause issues from the start. I was definitely deviant. I definitely wanted to upset everyone. When all those guys wanted to fight me, I loved it I wasn't intimidated. I thought it was great. Like, I was just chilling. I was just like, well, anytime, any place you can swing for, I'm chilling on the couch, come. But the producers got very scared once they realized that I was too good at annoying these dudes. And eventually one of them was going to make the mistake. And then when they tried to get me to sign a piece of paper that I wouldn't protect myself, that was just insane. That was the end of it. So, yeah. So when I was talking a bit about my history, like we were, when I was 22, 23, I remember watching The Matrix. And, you know, in the scene in The Matrix where you see Neo and he downloads all those programs to his brain that teaches him how, like, he knows Kung Fu or he knows how to fly a helicopter or all this stuff. I was like, where can I learn? I want something where I can just learn the things I'm interested in. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to do a 4-year degree. I just want to know the things I'm interested in. Like, I want hot girls and money and like all the things I want. Where do I get this from? And it didn't really exist. And that's kind of why I put this website together, is that after I became successful quite unorthodox in a lot of different ways. But I feel like there's some things I can teach, right? So I teach people about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, that kind of thing. We have a DeFi guide on there that teaches everyone how to make money with that. We have, I for a long time, I ran a webcam studio. So I had girls who would sit and talk on the internet, you know, like the chat lines. So I'd have the girls who sit and talk on the webcam. So I have a course there that teaches like the psychology. It's not so much about how to get a girlfriend. It's about the psychology of when you have 75 women working for you, you learn a little bit about how women think and how women are programmed, right? And how is best to make them listen to you, I guess, effectively. Not in a horrible, manipulative way, in a complete opposite. So I teach that on there. So it's kind of like my life knowledge is kind of what I was looking for when I was young. It now exists. If you want to find out how to do certain things that the world won't teach you, it's kind of a lot of it's taught on CobraTate.com. And then we also have the War Room, which is a network. We have a network with over 1,000 people in it from all around the world. And this is people who, a lot of them are already very rich. A lot of them are already very successful. But it's also guys who are on their way up. And this is just about, I think the world is changing. You'll probably agree with this and understand this, especially after speaking to Tommy. The idea of a social network for everybody is disappearing. Too many people are getting banned. Too many people, you're not allowed to say certain things. And I think that social groups and social networks are getting smaller. And that's kind of what the War Room is. It's a group for people who think like me, people who want to live a masculine life and conquer the world and do what they want and no political correctness. And, you know, and we all work together. So that's kind of what it is. It's its own little social network. So that's kind of the website in a nutshell. That's what it is. I mean, it's not my main income, but it certainly is amazing for me, especially the War Room. There's so many good guys in there that have even helped me. I was in Belarus last week. We had 2 Belarusian War Room guys. I needed a negative COVID test. 2 minutes later, it comes in my email. It's cool to have that kind of network, you know? So it's awesome. People come at me and go, why do I need your help to get a girlfriend? I don't need your help to get a girlfriend. And it's not about that. The PhD course is about how I ran my webcam studio, right? So yeah. I had women who would work for me and make $100,000 a year and give it all to me effectively in return for rent and food. Effectively. So how do you convince a woman to want to give you all her money? How do you convince a woman to want to obey you? Why would a woman share you with other women? Like there's certain insights in there, which I learned through my career with a webcam company. And that's basically what it is. It's hours and hours of me discussing my webcam company, how it worked, why some girls quit, why some girls stayed, what makes girls happy, what makes girls angry, what to do what I would do if a girl was not listening to me or screaming at me or et cetera, et cetera. And I think in the world we live in now, all jokes aside, the world we live in now is very, very hostile and it's very, very dangerous for men, especially in the Western world. In England, you have to be very, very careful. Like your woman can go and fuck your best friend, but if you scream at her too loud, you're abusive. And it's like, you have to be very careful now because the law is absolutely on their side. From a divorce perspective, from an abuse perspective, from anything. If the girl calls the police for any reason, you're gonna lose. So you need to be very, very careful how your interactions with women work as a whole. And that's why I teach in the PhD course. I make it very, very clear. Like I never raised my voice. I never scared anyone. I never hit anyone, nothing like that. It's the complete opposite. It's kind of like, I wouldn't say manipulation, but very convincing. So that's kind of how it is. So yeah, you as a man in the Western world, you have to be careful nowadays about a lot of things, but interactions with women is one of them. You have to be careful. So these are stories I wrote. I wrote these stories back in my fight days, when I was fighting and I was too tired to leave the house because of training, I was exhausted. I wrote some stories, and they're all on there. I think they're on the website. If not, you can message the live chat and they'll send them to you. And they're stories I wrote. And I'll leave it at that. I'll let people go discover for themselves. So there's some stories I wrote. I guess, am I an eclectic person? I don't know. I write stories, I play chess, I fight, I do a lot. I run a webcam studio. I do a lot of crazy different things, right? But yeah, there's some stories I wrote and they all have a lesson. So it's kind of like, did you ever watch, remember wouldn't that be a cool life though? I always kind of thought that'd be cool, just to wander around the earth and just get in adventures and meet people. But I guess life's not really that fun. If you start walking in a random direction, it's pretty boring. But Kung Fu made it look fun. And maybe that's why I moved to Romania. I kind of enjoy feeling lost. I've always enjoyed feeling a bit lost. I know that sounds stupid, but I like to feel comfortable, but I kind of like the feeling of looking on a map and thinking, what am I doing here? I kind of like that. And I've found Romania now, and I think Romania is a very good combination of lots of aspects of different countries. I'm pretty happy with it here. And I'm very surprised by it. A lot of people, my friends in London, go to me, are you okay in Romania? Like, you got this fast car and these nice watches. Are you okay in Romania? I said, my friend, are you okay in London? Don't worry about you. Like, there's far more violence in London than you'll ever find here. Yeah, I think your network is your net worth, right? So if you were in a room full of ice cream experts and all they talked about was ice cream, even if you had no interest in ice cream, eventually you're going to learn about ice cream. You're going to end up hearing so many things about how ice cream is made, how it's stored, how to make the different flavors, the different shaped boxes it can go in, how you transport it, whatever. You're going to accidentally end up knowing a bunch about ice cream, right? So when you're in a group of people who are all about the same thing, which is in the war room, we're looking for freedom, right? And that takes two things. One is financial, because it's easier to be free if you have money. But then also, once you have money, how do you move your money, hide your money? Lots of other ways, right? And then secondly, the other thing we're big on is nationalities and passports, because we live in a world now where the idea of living off grid is impossible. You can't go live in the forest by yourself. That doesn't matter. You can't do that. You're always going to have a passport and a national insurance number and a driver's license. So the second best thing to being off grid is to be on as many grids as possible. So I have 7 passports, and that's taken me a long time to get. But I have specifically gone to countries and sat there and gone through all the hoops and fought and did whatever it took to get the passport. I've specifically looked up my ancestors, found out the ancestor route. My great-great-great-great-grandma was half this. Let me apply there via Ancestry to get passport. It's amazing how far you can get. And what's crazy is during this Corona scam, and I'll call it a scam, during this Corona scam, I've been traveling the entire world. I've been to 13 countries last year during travel bans. Well, how did I do that? Because if they say that the English are not allowed to fly, I don't use my English passport. If they say the Americans are not allowed into X country, I will use another passport. If you have 7 passports, you're 7 nationalities, you're 7 people. So I could go wherever I wanted because always one of my passports would work, right? You can also translate this across driver's licenses. I have 7 driver's licenses. So if you want to ban me, ban what? You can ban me all you want. I'll keep driving. So like, I think it's really important for a man now to understand that money is good, but if you want true freedom, you need to be able to remove the control a government has over your life. And that's what happens when all your documents and all your nationalities is with one government. That government controls you. Corona, I was doing this before Corona and people called me crazy. But Corona has proved how right I was. Look what they've done to people in their countries because of Corona. Locked them up, won't let them leave, won't let them go anywhere. I was walking around, Romania had lockdowns. I was ignoring them walking around, getting fines on an Estonian passport. How are they going to enforce a Romanian fine on an Estonian passport? They're not going to do anything. Like, so I have freedom that others don't have because I'm prepared for it. And the world we live in now is going to become more and more constricted. This Corona crap was just a test for the future. It's going to become more and more constricted. And if you don't have a network like the War Room with people who are teaching you how to make money remotely, make money online, hide your money, get different nationalities, get different passports, get a vaccine certificate if you don't want to get the vaccine, get driver's licenses. This is the only way you're going to ever be free in 10 years from now. I can guarantee it. Because Corona's proved it. Everyone was messaging on Instagram. How did you get into this place? How did you go into that place? How did you go there? just flash the right passport. You got to have more than one because they're trying to lock us all down, my friend. I don't want to go conspiracy theory, but I've seen it, and they're trying to restrict us more and more. Soon they're going to take cash away, and it's going to be a cashless society, and it's just going to all they want men to do is just to pay taxes and die. They don't want us to be happy. We're tax slaves, right? We're the backbone of the economy. It's the men that do the real work. They want us to build the roads and build the skyscrapers, pay our taxes, and die. That's all they want us for. And if you want freedom and happiness, you need to find a way to get it. And that's what the war room's for. That's my little, I wouldn't say a pitch, but I'm trying to explain what the goal of the war room is. The goal of the war room is men who are like-minded, who are looking for freedom. And we have members in 50 countries, so we're global as well. So we're pretty big. Yeah, so it's primarily an online organization, but we do have 5 meetings a year. The next one's actually next week in Miami. I'll be there in Miami next week. So we are having a Miami meetup. Each meetup has a specific focus. So some of them are focused specifically around nationalities and getting passports. Some of them are specifically about financials, how to make money, lots of different things. So there's different meetups you can attend. But I'm always there. Sometimes we have guest speakers or other members of the war room themselves who are expert in fields. Like there's people in there who know things I don't know. That's what's so brilliant about it. Even I've learned from it, right? We have some guys in there which are so deep into Bitcoin and this crazy stuff. Like I understand it a bit. These guys are just well down the rabbit hole. I guess you could call them nerds, but they're very, very rich nerds. So you wouldn't call them one, and they're giving advice to the entire group and everyone's making a bunch of money. And there's a lot of people in there who know how to do a lot of different things. We have, you name it. We have police officers in Dubai. We have Japanese tattoo artists in Tokyo. You name it. We got people from all walks of life in there. But it's a cool organization. But we're all aiming for the same thing, and that's we want to try and find a way to stay sovereign in a world which is trying very, very hard to remove the sovereignty from the individual. That's what they're trying to do, and we're trying to combat that the best we can via our network. That's what the world is about. Yeah, and you really have to walk the line now. You have to walk the line very carefully. I've got two YouTubes. I've got Tate Confidential, which is kind of like a day-to-day vlog of my lifestyle kind of thing, how a millionaire idiot spends his money. And then you have Tate Speech, which is where I talk about issues and I talk about topics, but I have to semi-censor myself, right? Because like we said, you have to walk the line. Unfortunately, these companies have got a complete monopoly. And the second unfortunate point is that I believe we live in an attention economy now. I believe that the economy we live in is based on attention. If you can find a way for people to pay attention to you, you will be rich. Look at Jake Paul. He didn't have to learn how to box very good. He already had attention. He's turned it into money. Rihanna can launch a perfume tomorrow. It can smell terrible. It will still make money. Why? Because it's Rihanna. We now live in an attention economy. The idea of how to make money now has changed so much in the last 10 to 15 years. You need to find a way to make people be interested in who you are as an individual and listen to what you say. And social media is obviously very, very important for that. You need attention if you want to, because that attention can be garnered and can be leveraged for financial gain and for influence. So yes, I like my YouTube channels. I want to keep them. I try and be as controversial as I can. Not controversial for the sake of controversy, but controversial because the truth is often controversial, right? I try and be as truthful as I can without getting banned, but who knows how long it's going to last. But yeah, this is the world we live in now. And they're slowly, little by little, like you said, if you step too far out of line, you're going to get banned. I said a few things about Corona and they took the video down. They didn't like my views on Corona. So you have to be very, very careful. There's certain subjects you're not allowed to make people think. You can't wake certain people up. They have to keep them, in the slave mind. And they try very hard to. The people who are in charge of the world, their only thing they're afraid of is the slaves waking up. So they have to make sure nobody does that. So they believe. Yeah, we usually do about 1 or 2 a week. It all depends. So there won't be that long. Probably in a couple of days there'll be another one up there. They're about a month behind, so all the stuff's been filmed, etc., etc. So in a couple of days there'll be another one up there, and you can watch us run around the world, breaking all the lockdown restrictions, breaking the quarantine rules. We've tried very, very hard to break every Corona rule we could. We went out of our way to break Corona rules, and we've done a pretty good job of that. So we've just been breaking every single restriction, breaking every single rule. And it's also kind of funny throughout the Tate Confidential series at the very, very beginning of the lockdowns, like a year ago when they got really strict at the very beginning, Sweden never locked down, and we moved to Sweden for 2 months, and we lived in Sweden, and then we drove through Europe because you couldn't go to any country in Europe, right? But they can't prevent you from going home to where you live, and we have residency in Romania, so we could drive through all of Europe and saying, because Romania is the very end of the EU. We're going to Romania, we're going home, but we weren't. We were just stopping wherever we wanted and just parking the car and jumping in hotels. So we were running around breaking all these rules. And throughout the Tate Confidential series, you see me, I take about 20 Corona tests throughout the whole series. Never at any point do I have Corona. I've never put a mask on. I've been partying the whole time. I'm not saying Corona isn't real, but I'm just saying that, I mean, if I did have it, I didn't even have a sniff. Like, no, I've been perfectly healthy all year long. It's kind of crazy what they've done to the world, and I think it's just a power grab. I don't want to get too conspiracy theory, but they love power, and this is a good excuse for them to get more power, and that's what's really happening. But yeah, that's the Tate Confidential series. You can see our last year during the lockdown, and how we disobeyed every single one. So yeah, and you're right. So first thing, with a lot of my views, I don't try and force them on anybody, right? A lot of people try and force their views on others. I have my views and I don't force them on anybody. I think the COVID jab should be open for anybody who wants to get it. I don't think they should try and force me to have one if I don't want one. That's the difference, right? Because a lot of people who are pro-COVID jab, they think that everyone should have them. They have to have them. I don't think it's fair to force me to have an injection. I don't think that's fair. I know that COVID can't hurt me. The statistics tell me that COVID can't hurt me. I'm young, I'm healthy, I'm strong. Why would I take a jab to protect me from something that can't hurt me? I'm more scared of an experimental jab, which has no long-term studies, than I am a disease which for sure cannot hurt me. And I don't think it's fair for any government or any group of people to come along and force an injection inside of me. That means I do not have control over my own body. I'm not allowed to decide what goes in my own body. It's like force feeding me. I don't think that's fair. I believe anybody should be allowed to have the injection if they choose, but I believe the idea of forcing someone to have an injection they don't want is tyrannical, and I think it's psychopathic. Let me not have it. If the injection works and you've had it, why are you worried about me? Let me get COVID. I'm not scared of COVID. Let me have it. It's fine. So I'm not going to get the jab, and yeah, there's a huge rebellious streak of me, and the reason for that is I don't believe that anybody else has my best interests at heart. I don't believe that the school really cared about me. I don't believe that governments really care about me. I don't believe that AstraZeneca with their vaccine really care about me. I believe the only person who genuinely cares about me and my life is me. I believe the only person who wakes up each day and goes, you know what, let's put some money in Andrew Tate's bank is Andrew Tate. I believe that when stuff really hits the fan, you're going to often look around and you might have one or two close people, but in general, you are by yourself. I don't trust anybody else. So when a government comes along and says, you need to live this way, I realize that's not for the benefit of me. That's for the benefit of the government. When AstraZeneca says you need this injection, they don't care if I have COVID. They want billions and billions of dollars, like every other huge company in the world. This is the fastest vaccine that's been produced in history. It took 8 years to produce a vaccine. The fastest vaccine before this one took 8 years. This one's pulled off in less than a year. And you're going to tell me they haven't cut a single corner? And if someone does get sick from the vaccine, the media won't report it because the media works with the pharmaceutical companies. So nobody knows what's happening with this injection, and I know I don't need it. So I refuse to take it. So I know that nobody else has my best interests at heart but me. So for that reason, I'm a rebel, right? A government cares about its people the same way that a farmer cares about its cows. It wants the milk, it wants them alive, it wants them healthy enough to slaughter and sell, but it doesn't really care if they're happy or not. No one cares that the majority of men out there are working slave jobs and are depressed and their wife won't even give them a hand job. No one cares about them. Nobody cares about people, right? So I only care about myself, and that's made me a rebel because I only trust me. I trust me. And that's why I can't be programmed. If I have had COVID and I had a really bad experience, and then I believe, okay, you know what, COVID's serious, I believe I need an injection, then I will go get one. But the fact that throughout this entire year, nothing as bad has happened to me, despite me breaking every single rule, I don't see why I'd inject something into myself. I don't care what it is. I don't see the point of it. So yeah, maybe I am a rebel, but I think a lot of it just comes from absolute self-trust. I don't have any faith. And one more thing I'll add into this. It's kind of funny. Once I got rich, when I was kind of like average income, I thought the rich, the elite of the world, were like these hyper intelligent people. But I've sat around the Bugatti table. I've sat there with the other 10 people who bought $5 million cars. These are not smart people. They're not specific. They're not amazing human specimens. They're fat. They're lazy. They were late. They're drunk and sloppy. Like, you think that people at the top are any better than the average person. They're not. The people who work for AstraZeneca are not amazing people. They're just normal humans with marriage problems, and they're semi-depressed, sitting in traffic like everybody else. And the idea that these people will never make a mistake, or that these people are beyond corruption, that they won't sit there and go, oh, well, the vaccine won't hurt most people. A few people will die, but we'll make billions. You really believe that people are so good in their hearts, they're going to be like, no, we're not going to. They don't care. They don't care. Nobody cares. That's the way the world works. And the people at the very top have never cared. They locked us all in our houses and destroyed everyone's income. They didn't care. They don't care about us. So I'm a rebel because I don't trust these people. I don't trust them. That's all it is. It's just a matter of I only trust me and people who I know and have a track record with, who have been there for me when I need them to be. So for that reason, I don't trust very much, friend. I guess that's what made me a rebel. I guess maybe I just don't have much trust inside of me. Yeah, I think all of Eastern Europe is the place to be. I think Eastern Europe is the future of Europe. I think that as Western European countries decline, Eastern European countries are on the way up because they have strong borders and they have strong nationalistic tendencies. Countries like Poland, like Slovakia, like Romania, they're very nationalistic. They fly the flag. You must respect their country. You can't come here and talk bad about their country. And I think this is a good place to be. I like all of them, but I prefer Romania the most. Romania is the least civilized of them all. Poland is very, very civilized, very clean. Romania is like 20 years behind, right? It's not civilized, but it's also very chaotic and very corrupt, but that suits me because I have money. So if I like living in a corrupt place when I have money. So if I want to drive at 300 miles an hour, as long as I have money in my pocket, it's not a problem. So I kind of like it here for that reason. Yeah, we work together, we train together, we live together. I think that masculine power has always been based on brotherhood or gangs or armies. And when you have men around you who think like you, and the closer you are to those people, the more strong you'll be as a man. If you're by yourself or just you and your wife, it's as hard to be as mentally sharp as if you're with a bunch of other competitive men, right? It's the same reason you train in a fight gym with other fighters. You need other people around you. You know, that mentality. And I try and keep that fight gym mentality in every aspect of my life. So I love living with other men trying to do the same things as me. So we have a big house and there's 4 of us guys who live here, and it's a good vibe. I like that atmosphere. I like the pressure of other guys. You know, if he bench presses X amount, it pisses me off and I have to go try and beat him. I like that competitive element. Yeah, and this is the true mark. This is the true mark of manhood. Like, so a lot of my friends completely disagree with me, and a lot of them have had the vaccine and they're completely fine. And I'm like, look, we can discuss this. We'll talk about it for 6 hours and then shake hands and stay friends. Nobody cares, right? But this is disappearing from the world now. If someone doesn't agree with somebody, they're having mental breakdowns. And this is a true tenet of masculinity, is that you can have someone who's your friend. You don't have to agree on every single issue, right? You don't have to. And there's nothing wrong with healthy debate, but we're getting in a world now where either debate is not allowed because it's banned, or certain subjects are completely taboo and can't even be discussed. Tommy will tell you about that. Or you can't debate something without losing someone as a friend for life. And that's a shame, because the truth is always somewhere in between the 2 points. It's very rare that somebody's completely right. You have one person here and one person here, and the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. And if you're not going to discuss it and debate it, you're never going to get close to the truth. This is the reality. So yeah, as debate fails, as political correctness is enforced, as they remove debate from public discourse, we're going to get further and further from the truth. And we're going to end up in a fantasy land. And I think we're already halfway there. Yeah, and it's when you say cryptocurrency, it's such a broad field. There's so many coins, so many different ways you can be involved. There's so many different things you can do. It's hard to sum it all up in one. If I had to try and surmise my overall view, I do believe that cryptocurrency is here to stay. I do believe it's never going to go to zero. It's always going to be around. The community around it's too big. The things it can do that traditional money can't do are too worthwhile. I can send $1 million to somebody now in, I don't know, Singapore or Indonesia with basically a few numbers, basically their email address. I can send $1 million. It's going to cost me $1 to do. No bank forms, no questions, no delays, no why is he sending money to Indonesia, nothing. So it's too useful to the world. So for this reason, I do believe it's the future, and I do think that everybody should consider getting involved. Certainly. You shouldn't be looking to get involved to get rich quick. It should be like very similar to buying a house. You're investing money. You're going to keep it there for a long time. The value is going to go up slowly. And in the end, you're going to be glad you did it. That's the way to look at cryptocurrency. If you're going to try and get in and get rich quick, then you're taking risks. And this is where you hear the big horror stories and also the big wins. But you don't want to gamble, right? You want to invest intelligently, and this is the way to do it. The pandemic has removed the last faith I had in humanity. nice and positive. You know why? You look at World War II, and everyone said, how did the German people allow the Nazis to do that? And the answer is, well, the German people just did as they were told. And then you look at the pandemic and you see people just doing as they are told, ignoring their eyes, ignoring their ears. Like at the beginning of this, we saw all the videos of people in China falling over, dying. Nobody's seen that. You haven't seen anyone dying in the street. The hospitals are not full. You can go to the hospital right now. You can fall over, bump your head, go hospital. The hospitals are empty. There's no full hospital beds. Everyone's fine. Everyone you look around is fine. But because the news says pandemic, people still believe they're living in a pandemic. They don't trust their own eyes. They don't trust their own ears because the government has told them, just like the Nazis told the Germans, these people are bad, those people are bad, do this, do this. So I very much understand how the Nazis got away with what they did, because the pandemic has proved that people have not learned a single thing. Nobody will wake up and look around and do what I did, travel the world, look for myself, see with my own eyes and realize I don't see any sick people. The COVID deaths. Yeah, but the deaths of the flu have gone down to zero. You've just labeled all the flu deaths COVID deaths. Everyone knows that. Everybody knows that because the flu deaths have gone from X amount a year to zero, and the COVID deaths have gone from zero to back up to the same number. Everyone knows what's happened, but people are still sitting here going, the pandemic. There is no pandemic. So I am really, really amazed at how far this lie has continued. I'm amazed at how quickly everybody complied. I'm amazed at how, now people agree with me, many of them. But at the beginning of this, I was saying this. At the very start, people were calling me completely crazy. They'd delete me from Facebook. They would never talk to me again. I was a dangerous individual, right? For telling them that nobody should lock you in your house. I'm telling you, no one should lock you in your house, and you're mad at me? Like the majority of people are conditioned for slavery. And I mean that without disrespect. The movie The Matrix says it. Most people are so dependent on the system, they will fight to protect it. And most people are conditioned to slavery, and they're conditioned to just obey and comply and to work a job which doesn't reward them, and to make a little bit of money, and that money is worth less every single year, and the price of important things, houses and land, goes up every single year, and their wages never go up, and they're just going to sit there and stay broke and stay a slave forever. And this is how their mind is programmed. This is what they're conditioned for in their head. Most people are not really willing to wake up and look around them and understand what's happening, because the world is splitting right now. There's going to be elites. There's going to be people like me who can jump on a private jet with his 4th passport and go wherever he wants. And there's people who are still in their house because of quarantine. This is what I'm saying. There's people living 2 different lives right now. When I was flying on private planes, no one told me to wear a mask. Nobody asked for quarantine paperwork. Nobody cared because I was rich. This is what people don't understand. The world is splitting right now. Do you think all the people who make the COVID rules listen to the COVID rules? No, it's in the paper every single day. We catch some minister breaking the COVID rules. They're locking you in your house and disobeying. And people are not woken up yet to the fact that slavery is coming for those who are stupid enough to just blindly comply with the lies that are being told to them on television. So COVID has just proved to me that most of the world doesn't stand a chance. Most people are not really capable of thinking for themselves. And as for the future of the West, this is the same thing. The West is in decline because of all the things we can't discuss. Tommy isn't 100% right, but he's certainly at least part right. Let's put it that way. And we can't talk about it. We can't talk about how political correctness has destroyed our ability for men to stand up and say what they believe in. You can't even be nationalist anymore. You can't even be an English person who loves England and wants England to be English and for people to talk your language. You can't do anything. And this is the future of the West, because if you do those things, you are a bad person, because the news tells you you're a bad person. The TV, the brainwashing, the complying, comply. And this is the future of the West. The future of the West are slaves and elites who ignore all the rules, and crime rates spiraling out of control, and land and property that no one can afford, and ever shrinking wages as most jobs go to robots. That's the future of the West, and that's why I left. Good question. I do not think Romania will leave the EU. And I do, because Romania is Romania, and Romanians are scammers, and they're taking billions and billions and billions of taxpayer money from Germany to build highways which never get built and goes missing in corruption scandals. So it's all over the news here. Every single year, billions go missing in corruption scandals. So the Romanian government are just robbing the European Union dry. So for that reason, I don't think they're going to leave. The EU influence on Romania is real. It's starting to get a lot stricter. Like certain things here, there used to be basically no speed limit. Now they have speed traps. So things are starting to change here. The EU is starting to get it, but I don't think they're going to leave. I think they're just going to milk it for as long as they can. But I was super impressed by Belarus. I was in Belarus last week. I couldn't believe it. Clean, beautiful, nice streets, organized traffic, perfect, nice cars, Mercedes, BMWs. It was beautiful, super safe. Belarus super impressed me. So there's other countries to go to where you haven't got to worry about. I can walk this watch. This is a $250,000 watch. I wear this in Romania, Dubai, and Belarus. I would never wear this in London, never in a million years. So like there's certain places in the world which are still very, very safe, a good place to live. And Romania is one of them. But if that changes, I'll just keep heading east. If I end up in Moscow, I'll end up in Moscow. Like I refuse to live in a society where the police are going to get me in trouble for what I say, but they can't stop people from stabbing me to death. I refuse to live in that society. I don't think that's a fair place for me to pay my taxes. I refuse to do that. So whatever it is, I ain't coming back to England. Yeah, so I'm originally American, right? My mother was English. My father was American. I grew up in just outside of Chicago till I was about 11 years old. And then we all moved to England. So I moved to Luton, lovely Luton. Doesn't get better than that. And I was in Luton for the majority of my kickboxing career. I was training there. I was living there from the age of 11 till about 27. And then in a true pessimistic style, I kind of started to believe that the Western world was on the decline as a whole, not just England, but Germany, France, America, England. I just felt like they were declining and other parts of the world were on the ascent. And I thought, it's better for me to be somewhere which is on its way up than on its way down. That's a better use of my money. It's a better use of my time. So I moved to Slovakia originally, which is a very nice place, but then it's a bit small. So I've ended up here in Romania. So I live in Romania now. I'm 0% Romanian. I have nothing to do with Romania. I've just kind of rocked up. So I've been here for about 4 years. This is kind of like, I was recently in Belarus. I was in Belarus last week. And I was talking to this Belarusian girl, and she was saying that Lukashenko, the leader of Belarus, he's been the president since 1994. He's a dictator. And he refused to comply with corona restrictions. So the whole time we've been locked down in Belarus, everything's been completely normal. No masks, no lockdowns, nothing. They're living their lives completely normal. And she found this very fascinating. And she was saying, oh, but Lukashenko, and I was saying how good a job Lukashenko did, because I don't think the lockdowns were worthwhile. I think it was a joke. You've destroyed too many livelihoods with this. And she was saying, yeah, Lukashenko does some good things, but if you talk bad about him or if you upset the government, you go to jail. And that's when I mentioned Tommy. I said, no, it's the same in the West. If you talk bad and you run your mouth too much and you become an enemy of the state, they'll find a reason to put you in jail whether you're innocent or guilty. So I don't think it's any safer in the West. Democracy doesn't protect us in any regard anyway. So how I know things, that's a good question. I have this instinct. I'm from the streets, and now I'm at the absolute upper echelon of masculine performance, the highest possible echelons of life, from the lowest possible echelons of life. I think I've learned a lot along the way, but even the other people I encounter who have had a similar trajectory, they don't know what I know. I just know things. And the reason I'm saying this is because, as usual, time, my friend, proves me right in the end. And time has proved me right about something else, which I knew from the absolute beginning was complete bullshit, complete garbage. So today we're going to talk about NFTs. There was a time when very successful
rich people were trying to convince me to spend millions of dollars on a JPEG. And they tried to explain to me that it's on the blockchain and it's one of one and you can see on the blockchain. Who the fuck is checking the blockchain for my JPEG, G? Who cares? 3 million for a Bugatti, fine, drive the Bugatti. 3 million for a JPEG. People can just copy and save the JPEG. No, but my JPEG's the real one. It's on the blockchain. Look on the blockchain. If you go to etherscan.com, bro, what planet are you on? Nobody gives a fuck about Etherscan, checking the blockchain. Even if I proved after all that I owned that picture, guess who would care? No one. Only nerds. It was a circle jerk of nerds. And there was all these crypto influencers on Twitter. Bruv, these are the worst people in the world, these people. All these crypto influencers. All unimpressive specimens of human. None of them have done anything difficult to actually make money. You know, if you want to make money in the real world, you have to learn skills along the way. If you want to go from $0 up to $10 million a year, you're going to have to learn how to deal with stress. You're going to learn how to deal with people, how to hold meetings, confidence, how to manage staff. You have to learn things. By the time you get there, you're going to be a better person, not just because of the wealth, because wealth amplifies who you are as a man, but because of the lessons you learn along the way. Whereas if you make a whole bunch of money with crypto, guess what you learned? Nothing. You didn't learn anything. You are still a dork, but now you're a rich dork, which makes you a mega dork. Money doesn't change who you are, it amplifies who you are. So all these crypto influencers, there's a couple of them, I don't want to throw names around. They were all over the page and, oh, this is the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Bruv. The fact you think that's worth money shows that you've always been a loser, and now you're just a loser with money. There's no real G on the planet who is spending money on those NFTs. Not one. I'm extremely wealthy, and I could have invested in the most expensive NFT, 3, 4, 5 million, whatever they were, and it wouldn't have even affected my bank balance, and I wouldn't have even cared. And I could have done it just as a, maybe I'll make some money, and I still didn't out of principle, because I refused to sell my soul to the god of geekdom. No. And here we are, 2 years, year and a half, whatever later. Who cares about NFTs? What'd you say? Yes, correct. Nobody. Nobody cares. As usual, I was completely right. Nobody gives a shit. Bro, I saw there was pictures of a rock being sold for like, I don't know, 100 ether. I can't remember the prices. I just remember seeing it thinking, this is absolutely ridiculous. So I hope all of the people who invested in these NFTs lost all their money. I hope you're all desperate and poor. The great thing about people like that losing their money is they never learn any lessons along the way. So let's go back to what I said earlier about the fact if you make money in the real world, you learn lessons which can be applied to life. So if you make it in the real world, even if you lose it all, you can make it all again, probably easier because you're a better version of yourself who knows new things. Whereas if you make it all with crypto, which is basically gambling, you get lucky. You don't know anything new. And you certainly are not in the position to go and get a real job or work hard because you've once experienced easy money. So you're not going to wake up and think, I'm going to be a hard worker, money's hard to make. I'm going to be disciplined, I'm going to be motivated. No, you're not one of them. You just want to win another gamble. And you sit there and go, if I can just pull it off one more time, this time I won't be stupid with the money. If I could just do it this once more, I promise I won't buy NFTs. I won't buy JPEGs. I'll buy real things. I'll buy stuff that matters. I'm sorry, God, just one more time. Let me go on Etherscan or let me go and pancake swap and buy some shitcoin, please. Do a 200x this shitcoin, please. And they just lose everything. Everyone just loses everything. Continuously gamble to oblivion. You know, one of the coolest things about having loads of money, and people have been speculating about how much money I have, but let's put it this way, I have loads of money. Let's say I invested $100 million tomorrow, chump change. If I get a 10% return, that's 10M. Easy, done. I can get a 2% return, $2 million. Safe, take it, nice and easy, simple. I can put it in ETH or Bitcoin, or I can do a bunch of traditional financial instruments and be a lot safer and more by the book. And I can put in 100 million, I can look for a 1% or a 2%, guaranteed to get it, no risk, get my money back, get 2 million free, buy an apartment, boom, Aikido. Easy. But when you only have $500, you gotta pray for some mass extinction event. You can't just make 2% on $500. And this is why all the dumb money ends up with us, the smart money. This is why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Because there's no such thing as free money. I make my 2% because a bunch of people lost money somewhere else. And the person who lost money is someone who put in $500 and managed to pull off a 4X, got up to $2,000. And he sat there and goes, if I could just get to $5,000, then I'll take it out, and lost it. Because you're very greedy when you're poor. When you're rich, you don't have to be greedy. You can be very sensible, very calm. We let all the brokies put their little money into these things and pray. All of their aspirations and dreams, all of their hopes, all of the idea, you know, I might matter one day. I might be able to fix my car if I could just ride this to the top. My friend gave me this recommendation. I really believe. All of the brokies' dreams and aspirations, they all put all their money in this big pot, this big fantasy, and guess who gets it all? Me. People like me sit there and wait for all the brokies' dreams and aspirations to evaporate into the atmosphere. And we come along and scoop it all up and put it in our big money piles behind walls. Our money operates in ways you can't even fucking understand. You think that rich people like me just have money in banks. It doesn't even work that way. You don't even get it. You don't even get where your money goes. But it's mine. And you're still sitting there going, well, maybe this new collection of NFTs, maybe. Bruv, get a job. You should have had a job the whole time. You got lucky as fuck. Your luck ran out. You're trying to win the fucking lottery again. The odds of it happening are exceptionally low. You should learn some real skills and get a real job. Now, this is a perfect time for me to explain that I have never sold NFTs. In fact, there was a time when I gave free NFTs away with the t-shirts that you could buy on topg.com completely for free. And if you bought a t-shirt, you got a free NFT, and people made actually some money on them. And I did it because if I give them for free, nobody can lose money. And I want to make sure none of my fans ever lose money. I've never endorsed an NFT project because I don't want any of my fans to lose money. I've never endorsed a crypto project because I don't want any of my fans to lose money. It doesn't matter if I endorse a coin tomorrow or launch a coin tomorrow. It doesn't matter if it does a 200x. Eventually, somebody will lose some money. And I refuse to have an Andrew Tate fan who believes in Andrew Tate lose anything. Because I already have all the dreams and aspirations of all the fucking idiots out there who are gambling. I already have all the money in the world. I'm not going to hurt my own fans. I'm not going to do that. So I've never done these things. I have Hustlers University, the real world, where I teach people how to make money for real. But you have to learn skills. You have to work hard. It's not like crypto gambling. You have to sit there and do lessons and learn things and pay attention and be disciplined and turn up each day and try hard. But I'll teach you how to make money for real. And then by the time you make $10 million, you're the kind of person who can easily make $10 million anytime they want. You upgrade your character as a person. You upgrade yourself as a man. You become a better version, a better avatar to navigate the video game. You learn Aikido. That is far more interesting than a crypto pump. Crypto pumps are what the lazy loser dreams of. I don't want to learn any skills. I don't want to pay any attention. I don't want a strong network. I don't want to have to work with other rich people. I don't want to have a bunch of staff I have to manage. No, I just want to get some free money. Please just give me some money. Wah! I'm glad you all lost everything. All of you. Every single crypto dork, I am glad you are all going broke. Makes me so happy. In the spirit of that, I got this today in the mail. This is a model of a Rimac Nevera. And then they very kindly sketched my Rimac Nevera, which cost me around $4.4 million. I could have bought a JPEG. It was a tough one, but you know, I thought, instead of buying the JPEG of a monkey, let me buy the fastest car on the planet. And then what I should do is I should have it in exposed red carbon with gray and gold accents, you know? And then I should probably have my name stitched into the seat. And it's almost finished production, and they just sent me this artist sketch from the Rimac design team saying they can't wait for me to go and collect it. I mean, I'm sure when it turns up, I'll look at it and I'll think, oh man, I saw that guy on Twitter, that fat guy and that blonde guy, those guys, and that guy with no profile picture who were going on and on about the monkey picture, Bored Ape, and how amazed they were that, you know, they could upgrade their ape. And I'm probably going to feel the sting of regret. But maybe when I get in the fastest car in the world and start tearing through the Croatian countryside, that's where I'm going to collect it from, on my way to a beautiful 5-star hotel where many good friends are waiting for me because I am still rich, richer than I've ever fucking been, despite the Matrix attack, I might just be able to get over the fact that I never owned.
There's been a lot of confusion lately regarding exactly who I am and what I believe in. I've been asked a lot of questions regarding my upbringing, my ethnicity, my religion, people trying to understand how I view the world. And for that reason, I've decided to put together 41 tenets, the 41 tenets of Tateism. I've mentioned them a few times before, but I want to actually explain them all here, once and for all. The reason I think they're so important is because they're universally applicable.
It doesn't matter if you're black, white, it doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, old, young. It doesn't matter what status or standing you currently have in life. I believe if you live true to these tenets, it is the best possible framework in which you can conduct yourself to be massively successful. I also believe not only do you have a fantastic human experience, but all of the people around you will benefit from your existence. This is the best way to become the most capable, powerful, and competent version of yourself, and by extension, make you the most good for the people who love you, and by further extension, most good to the world as a whole. And for that reason, I wanted to outline them to you and make it very, very clear how I view the world. It doesn't matter if you are in a position where you face a difficult decision and you're not sure which path to take. The tenets will guide you on the correct path. It doesn't matter if you are looking to do something you've never done before and you're not sure exactly how to approach it. It doesn't matter if you are drastically attempting to improve your social standing or your physical capability. Living true to these tenets in and of itself pleases God and it pleases the universe, and it makes you an extremely lucky person. Because it's amazing how luck can be self-constructed. And that's why I see myself as exceptionally lucky, as well as exceptionally capable and competent. And that's why my life is so fantastic and I've truly never lost. So I want to outline them to you, and I hope that all the people at home can understand them, pay attention to them. And I hope as many men as possible adopt them, because I truly believe the entire world can be a better place if the male gender as a whole, across all cultures and creeds, live true to these tenets, which have served me fantastically well. I believe that men have the divine imperative to become as capable, powerful, and competent as possible in this life. That is the first tenet, and one of the most powerful. The second, I reserve the human right to hold my own beliefs and practice them as I see fit, and I allow other people the same right to believe and act as they wish. I prefer loving, rewarding, consensual relationships with beautiful, positive, and virtuous women. I believe men and women are different, and that each has their own unique and important strengths and abilities. I believe men have the sacred duty to protect and provide for the important people in their lives. I believe men have the sacred duty to protect the innocence and sanctity of their children and reserve the right and responsibility to raise their children as they see best to ensure their long-term happiness and success. I believe that men have the sacred duty to raise strong, capable, and honorable sons. I believe that men have the sacred duty to raise kind, feminine, and virtuous daughters. I utterly disapprove of violence within romantic or familial relationships. I support good and honest governments and will obey their laws. I prefer to only conduct business dealings with my trusted and vetted brothers. I believe that a man has the sacred duty to hold true to his word and do exactly what he says he will do. I believe that a man's life is difficult and he has the sacred duty to become strong to handle such difficulty. I believe men are personally responsible for their actions and for the results they achieve within their lives. I believe in emotional control and the vital need to become disciplined and professional in all realms. I believe that men have the sacred duty to approach everything in life from a position of strength. I believe that all men have the sacred duty to become men of upright and virtuous character and to live above all possible reproach. I believe it is incumbent upon me to ruthlessly identify my own weaknesses and limitations, and I eagerly work to overcome them and become more capable in all realms. I seek to improve my personal freedom to think, act, and live true to my masculine imperative in all ways. I believe each man has a sacred duty to mold his physical body into the strongest, most resilient, and most capable version of itself possible. I believe that men have the sacred duty to rigorously train themselves both physically and mentally every day. I believe that I have the sacred duty to only eat the highest quality foods possible to maintain my health, virality, and masculine virility. I reserve the right to protect the sanctity of my bloodstream and make my own decisions about medical care and procedures. I affirm the importance of endlessly improving my mental faculties through diligent work, study, and practice. I believe in acquiring wealth and abundance in order to improve my life and do good for those I care about and the world. I believe in the merits of healthy competition and constantly encourage all men to seek out competition to improve themselves. I believe that masculine brotherhood is essential to men's mental health, happiness, and success. And I relentlessly encourage men to meet together, train together, and work together. I maintain the trust of brothers through reverent silence regarding our most sacred shared experiences. I believe in honoring my ancestors and living in a way that would make most of them proud of me today. I reserve the right to administer difficult rites of passage for our young men to allow them to earn the rank of manhood. I affirm the importance and need for travel and adventure as men. I seek to help men overcome poor mental health through embracing hard work, physical improvements, and shared masculine brotherhood. I reserve the right to make the best choices I can at the time to protect my self-respect and my mental health. I do good in the world and seek to help those who are less fortunate than myself. I believe all men have the responsibility to lead and guide those they care for to greater health, prosperity, and happiness. I choose to only interact with those who are respectful and civil in return for my own respect and civility. I reserve the freedom to speak and refer to others as I believe is best and most truthful. I reserve the right to choose my company and include only those whom I believe are best for my health, happiness, and success. I believe I have an imperative to only spend my time in a way that I determine is beneficial, uplifting, and empowering to myself and others. I choose to only allow myself to be influenced by those who I believe have my best interests in mind. Each day I dedicate myself anew to create the greatest possible positive impact on the world and do the work necessary to achieve a greater masculine excellence across all realms of human endeavor. These are the 41 tenets I believe in. The reason I decided to outline these to the world is not only because I've been greatly misunderstood, but so has my organization, the War Room. These are the tenets of the War Room in which we conduct ourselves in all matters, whether it's personal, business, financial, relationships, our duty to our ancestors, our bloodline, and our families, and the people we love and we care about. I decided to outline these to the world as I've been greatly misunderstood, and I would like to discuss them in more detail with those who understand the power they can bring to somebody who truly internalizes them and feels affinity to my worldview. Since the dawn of human time, men have lived by frameworks. We've had religions, we've had societies, we've had traditions to live within. This has been destroyed, which is why so many people are confused, sad, and lost. This is a framework by which I conduct my life, and if success or results speak for itself, then I would like to think that it's very difficult to actually question my framework for existence. This is also the framework in which my organization operates, and I would like to spread this message far and wide. So for this reason, on the email address below, tate@cobratate.com, you can email me for a free copy of these tenets, as well as some notes, some additions, some explanations for each one, although they're fairly self-explanatory. I'd like to think that any man who decides to adopt these and live by them will see a drastic improvement in their life in real time. And once you truly understand this framework, you understand how much more powerful you can be as an individual if you share a network which also adhere to the same rules. Imagine how much better your life will be if you follow these tenets. Now imagine you are part of a network of thousands of men around the world who, again, adhered to the same framework to ensure they lived their best possible lives and were the best possible versions of themselves. That's exactly what the War Room is. That's exactly who we are. And I truly believe we're the most powerful organization on the face of the planet today for any young man, regardless of social standing, regardless of religious connotation, regardless of creed. My primary life objective was always to have unmatched perspicacity and sheer indefatigability, to be a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor, and nearly everybody I associate with on the face of the planet believes the same. Once you reach a certain level of competence, you understand exactly how powerful that is.
I don't think most women understand what men are looking for in general from life.
Okay.
And it is not just relationships, it's in general from life. I think, and when I say think, I mean I know, that men are biologically designed, we're evolutionarily hardwired to seek status. That's what we want. Men talk about wanting money. You don't want money, you want power. You want power, you want status, you want the fast car, you don't care about the car. You want everyone to know you have the car and they can't have the car. If everyone had a Lambo, you wouldn't want a Lambo. Right? So we want status. So every single thing we do is status driven to some degree.
It's true.
Meaning the female we are with has to add status to our lives in some form. That's why we like beautiful women, right? But a beautiful woman who doesn't behave and doesn't obey isn't really much status. So when we're looking for status, we want a beautiful woman who is compliant because it's unique and it's scarcity that provides value. So if you want to keep your man happy, you need to think, how do I make my man look better to the world? How do I make him look better in front of other men? You know what? If I were to just make him 2 coffees and shut the fuck up, he's going to look like the big G and he's going to be in love with me. That's what you have to do. And compliance is something which is going to increase the status of your man in front of other people. And truthfully, it's not really a very big ask. The fact that it's basically pointless is the whole point of it. I drink one, I don't drink the other one. It's just a respect thing. It's doing something which is basically pointless to show you have respect for me. And that's not me being insecure or crazy or whatever. I have a lot of jobs as a man, and I make sure I fulfill my side of the duty fantastically. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. I'm going to take care of us financially, etc., etc. So if I do my side of the bargain, I want your side of the bargain, which is I want to feel respected in the household.
Okay.
Yeah. But this is actually one of the problems I have. I want you guys to feel sorry for me. Maybe with your big channel, we can start a charity and get some money going. Because you know what happens now?
What?
My life, I'm flying on private jets. I'm eating in all these restaurants. I'm driving all these supercars. And it's very hard for me to find a way for women to show me respect. Because they're just like on the jet, duh. I go to the restaurant, duh. They're in the club, duh.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Do you know what I mean? And they're like, and most dudes are happy just get that pussy. Right. But like, who doesn't want to fuck me?
Get rid of that. Get rid of that stupid shit.
That won't respect me crap. That's not real.
Is that real? Really?
You know what? So many women say to me, you're so, Andrew, you know what? You're so rich, but you're smart and you're actually very intelligent. And I know you'd get really bored of a robot. And I'm sitting there thinking, bitch, I wish to God you were a robot. You better shut the fuck up. We talk about star signs? Oh yeah, I'm so glad. Tell me more about by Sagittarius rising, you idiots. I don't give a fuck. Give me a robot. All men want robots. That's all we want. Yeah. 4 wives, robots, inshallah. Put the burqa on.
Yep.
What are you talking about? We don't care. 2 coffees. That's it. It's nice and easy. There's no such thing as too submissive. There's no such thing. I'm never going to look at a beautiful woman who does everything I say and go, you know what? You do too much of what I say. I want to go get some disagreeable bitch.
Yeah.
Well, the truth is, you know what's crazy about all of this? Because when people attack my views, what they don't understand is that the relationships I'm describing are not just perfect for the man. Women are absolutely happy serving a man they respect. Women are absolutely happy saying, you know what? I know I have the best man on the planet and I know I make him happy. Women are happy with that.
Yeah, that's true.
They're far more happy with that than they are working some fucking career.
Yeah.
And some garbage. Oh, I have thoughts and opinions in a job.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Have kids, sit at home, be quiet, make coffee.
Yeah.
And it makes everybody happier. It's good for everyone. I don't know how this is even controversial anymore.
Right.
They're deliberately trying to turn women against men. They have to divide the peasants. That's the only way the elites can retain control. They turn the blacks against the whites, the Democrats against the Republicans, the women against the men. It's all a psyop, and they do it purposefully. Listen, a revolution is nothing more than men standing in one place and saying this shit has to change. The reason there's no revolution, despite the absolute tyranny we experience here in the Western world, is because most men aren't allowed out the house because their wife will get mad at them. You have to be home at 10 o'clock. Come home. Yeah. You're not allowed out. If you're not a king in your own house, then how are you a king anywhere else, right? And the law is set up in a way in the Western world.
Like that.
The law is set up in the way in the Western world where men have absolutely zero power. Most men are clinically depressed, working jobs they hate in sexless marriages, and they know they can't leave because they lose the house and they lose the kids and they lose everything else. So they don't have time to be concerned with anything that's actually happening in the world. They keep us divided and distracted. And empowering females is the easiest way to weaken the will of men. What happened when the Romans conquered the Greeks? The first thing they did was kill all the fighting age males. And we live in a world now where they are deliberately killing the fighting age males. They're killing the spirit, the warrior spirit inside of men. And they're doing that by motivating females and empowering them to the point where they're going to sit there and go, you know what? I'm a feminist. You can't tell me what to do. I'm allowed to go out with my friends. He's just my friend. I'm allowed to sleep at his house and drink vodka. Oh, I only sucked his dick. What's the problem? You know what? Fine, we get a divorce. I'm taking the fucking house.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's the biggest mistake a female could possibly make. Why the fuck would you do that?
Yeah.
One, you're shit at it.
Yeah.
But that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Like anyone who's out here who's actually been through something, as I have, knows that when the fight goes down, you need the women protected in a way. You don't need the screaming in your ear, right? So they're shit at it. That's the first thing. And the second thing, it's part of the psyop. They're masculine. In the Western world, they are trying to turn females masculine. It's not an accident. None of this is an accident. All of this is done very, very purposefully. And it's to destroy the will of man. The reason I feel compelled to say the things I say and do the things I do, etc., is because I live in a country where there's no femme-centric government that's going to come and destroy me. And also in my relationships with females, there's no woman telling me, Andrew, just put the mask on. Andrew, just be quiet. Andrew, it's late. Don't lose your job. Andrew, the kids, blah, blah, blah. It's not about being tamed or married. I don't believe in marriage in terms of an institution, not because I am against the idea of loving a woman, but I'm so anti-government. I don't want them to have anything to do with me, especially where my dick goes. So fuck them.
Yeah.
So I refuse to sign the piece of paper because I just don't want to deal with governance more.
Okay. So
that's a good question. And I think you have to look at it under a different frame.
Okay.
If she's only with me because I am tall, strong, rich, and successful and smart and interesting and charismatic and humble
and funny.
Yeah.
and funny.
Yep.
If she's only with me for those things, and I'm only with her because she's beautiful and shuts the fuck up, who's more shallow? Truth.
You.
So who cares?
Right.
Right? So I'm not going to be gold dug because I'm not an idiot. Like no girl's going to come to me and say, give me money.
Yeah.
If I decide to buy her a present for her birthday, it's my prerogative.
Right.
I'm not stupid. I'm not a punk. But I think that this whole idea of shallow is kind of hard to define, right? Some go, they're only with you because you're rich and tall and gorgeous. Well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What else are they going to be with me for? Like,
Right,
duh,
right.
I'm only with her because she's gorgeous too.
Yeah.
Like, it's normal. That's human nature.
Yeah.
Throughout
Agreed.
the majority of human history, female promiscuity has been absolutely frowned upon. Only in the Western world we're going to pretend it's an okay thing. Every single culture since the dawn of human time and every single place on the planet has said that female promiscuity is disgusting to the point where females were executed for it.
Yeah.
And most of the world today...
As they should be.
Get the rocks.
Yeah.
Abdul?
Yeah. Get the rocks.
Get the rocks.
Yep.
In most of the world today, it's still frowned upon. It's unacceptable. Yeah. Whereas every single king and sultan and sheikh since the dawn of human time had multiple women. Men are allowed multiple women. Women are not allowed multiple men. Because if a woman has multiple men, you cannot ensure paternity. And the modern science of the devil, just because we can work out how the dad is, doesn't mean the actions are acceptable.
That's true.
Under the will of God. I can walk and have 10 wives behind me. That's perfectly acceptable.
So hold
if
on.
a woman has 10 men, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Absolutely vile.
Yeah.
Females should not talk to any man besides her brothers, her father, and the man she's with. If she truly loves me, she should want as much help as possible to cater to me and serve me and make me coffee. She should encourage me to get more wives.
He's got
Nobody drains my finances. I'm the big G. I don't think you understand. You cannot drain the big G's finances. The biggest mistake you could possibly make, the biggest mistake a female could possibly make is trying to go to war with me. She could come and say, please, can I have this? The baby needs diapers, whatever. Maybe. Okay, fine.
Maybe.
But if you were to, maybe. That little fucker can shit on the floor for free.
Yeah.
But if you're going to come to me with like a legal letter or something, you're going to get crushed. Decimated.
Oh my God.
I'm petty.
I'm terrified
And I'm rich.
of you.
Yeah.
I will do anything it takes to not pay you. I'll go to the jungle. I'll burn it all. I'll sit there broke myself. Everyone's going to starve. I'm that guy. If any man, this is a red pill most people don't want to accept, but if you were to get any man on the planet and say to him, you have a wife and she loves you and she's going to remain loyal to you and you can still fuck around with other women.
Wow.
Do you want that? Yes or no? If any man's honest, he's going to say yes.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's the game. So I'm in a fortunate enough situation where I managed to pull it off, right? I don't pull it off with money or anything else. I meet beautiful young ladies who look at me and go, you know what, Andrew, you're such a special individual. You're such an amazing character that I accept. It's like when, all right.
Yeah.
You like cars, don't you?
Yeah.
All right. If you buy a McLaren, you accept that half the time it's going to fucking break for no reason. It's just a pain in the ass. If you want something reliable, you get a Toyota. You want something sexy as fuck that comes with a bunch of problems, you get a McLaren. I'm the McLaren. You chose me, bitch.
You are the McLaren.
You chose me. I'm not going to act like a Toyota. I'm the McLaren. So you're just going to have to accept what comes with me. I can answer that question in so many different ways. There's like 10 different answers I can give. But I think truthfully, in the world we're living in now, I use this analogy a lot. Maybe I overuse it, but you need to find a way to some degree to escape the Matrix. I've escaped the Matrix.
Yeah.
I've literally escaped the Matrix in nearly every form. So any form of oppression no longer applies to me. I can't be canceled. No, I can say what I want. My finances are secure. I've escaped the Matrix. And when I talk about the Matrix, it primarily applies to men because men are the backbone of the slave force. We always have been and always will be. And unfortunately now, if you're a law-abiding man inside the Matrix, your future and the life that is laid out for you is nothing but depressing. You're going to go to school, you're going to get in debt, you're going to get a job, you're going to get a wife, divorce is coming, you're going to lose the house eventually, your job's shit, inflation's outpacing your wages, you're going to work, no one's going to appreciate it, now you're old and your life's over. That is the Matrix for 99% of men. And you need to find a way to escape it. And I guess I was kind of fortunate from a young age. I always knew that the Matrix was coming and that the system is designed to oppress. The people who make the rules do not make the rules for the benefit of us. They make the rules for the benefit of the people who make the rules. And I knew that. And I think every person intrinsically knows that. Like if it's 4 a.m. and you're sitting in a gas station and a Lambo pulls up, you're probably thinking drug dealer or criminal. You're not thinking, oh, he definitely went to school. Yeah, I was lucky enough to have the most fantastic father on the planet. So my dad did make a lot of things very clear to me from a young age. My father was a chess grandmaster, and he was a nomadic individual. So he lived in a car or in random hotels and floated around the world playing chess. They're so smart that they're socially weird.
Yeah.
So like my father was socially strange, but he was a genius. And on top of that, he's like a 6'4" black dude. So it's very unusual, like a chess grandmaster, but he's also physically intimidating.
Yeah.
But he's also socially weird. So he's a kind of weird guy to be around.
Yeah.
But he was nomadic, and he was just hustling. Sometimes he'd have to go down the local chess park and just hustle for dollars to eat. And other times he's beating grandmasters for 20, 30 grand paychecks. So it's it was an interesting life. And he taught me a lot about the fact that the system is absolutely broken. It's designed to oppress, and that the majority of people who stick to the rules are going to lose. I don't want to sit here on a podcast that goes out to this many people and encourage anyone to break the law in any form.
Of course.
But the idea of the law-abiding citizen has been decimated in real time. In the last 3 years ago, you could stand there and proudly say, I'm a law-abiding citizen. The last 2 years, if they have not taught you that being a law-abiding citizen is going to turn you nothing into a fucking experiment for Big Pharma, then you're an idiot. You can no longer obey the law. And I'm not saying you have to break the law, but you need to find a way to do what the elites do, which is bend the law.
Yeah.
You can no longer sit there and go, I'm just going to follow the rules and it's going to be okay. No, it isn't. And if you're a man, it's your job to find a way to not be sticking to those rules enough to escape the matrix and become free. Because what's actually most crazy about this period of history is that it's actually the easiest time in human history to become rich. And the reason for that is because there's so many people inside the matrix being destroyed. Money has to go somewhere. I've made so much money during COVID is absolutely incredible, right? Yeah. And a whole bunch of people got lucky. They buy a crypto coin, it fucking goes up 100x and this kind of crap. My two primary sources, I have three primary sources of income. Wait, 3, 4. I'm thinking of which ones I'll tell you about.
Yeah.
4. I have 4 primary sources of income that I'm prepared to disclose to the world.
Sure. Go ahead.
So the first thing is I own some casinos in Romania.
Fantastic.
The story of how I opened them is long, but I'll make it very, very short. There was a guy who owns 400 casinos, 3 brothers, mafia guys. They own 400 casinos throughout Eastern Europe. I came up to him and said, look, I want to do a franchise with you. They said, we're not interested in franchises. We have enough money. We just open them ourselves. We turn over 10 million euros a day. What do I need? Eventually, I came up with a plan. And I said, look, how about this? I'll open up your locations directly next to your biggest competitor. So I'll go to war for you next to the competitor. Worst case, the location doesn't pay me money, but at least it takes money from your competitor. I'll give you a percentage of turnover. So even if it doesn't make profit, you make money. I'll take all the financial risk. They agreed. I started opening up next to their biggest competitor. I actually did something that's kind of funny. What I tried to do was find ones in between their competitor and a Starbucks. I'd open in the middle and then I'd offer loads and loads of free coffee with a barista and a sexy chick. So instead of going to Starbucks, you could just take your money and go get free coffee and gamble. And I ended up making a bunch of money. I took his competitor down, bang, bang. So I opened them up. That's the first thing. That's the first one. The first week.
That's what's
Good
up,
business.
Dude.
Yeah,
That's
all right.
tight.
Yeah, I'll do that. Second, my brother runs a company that manages girls on OnlyFans. So a female without instruction is headed for destruction. Women are intrinsically lazy.
Yep.
Intrinsically. If you show a man how to make $1,000 in an hour, he'll think, I can make $24,000 a day. If you show a woman how to make $1,000 in an hour, she'll think, I only have to work 3 hours a week, because they are fucking lazy.
Stupid bitches.
Lazy.
Entitled and fucking lazy.
Yep. Absolutely. So my brother comes
Hey, you
along.
just had that on deck.
Yeah.
Good job.
So my brother comes along and says, listen, you're making a little bit of money. You're a fine Caucasian of the wrong persuasion. The men think you're handsome. They should pay your ransom. We're going to change it up. You're going to listen to me. I'm going to install some structure and some discipline in your fucking life. And you're going to make some real money. And I'm going to get a percentage. So my brother runs an OnlyFans agency. I'll be honest. So my brother's making 200 grand a month from OnlyFans. Casino's making more than that. And then I've got an online school actually called Hustlers University. I have a university online. And
Really?
And I teach people how to make money with 18 modern wealth creators. And I do this not because I'm a philanthropist. I want everyone to understand this is not philanthropy. I'm not trying to be a nice guy, and I'm certainly not trying to make money. But I genuinely believe we're living in a pivotal period of human history.
Yeah.
I believe that things are about to get a lot worse before they get better.
Yes.
And I believe that anyone who thinks like me and is aligned with me and understands about the global enslavement, if they're going to be on my team, I want them to be rich. Money gives you power. Yeah. So I am teaching anybody who will listen to my videos and understand what I'm saying and doesn't hate me, how to make as much money as possible. Because when the time comes and the battle call is made, I need rich people around me.
Yeah.
That's what Hustlers University is about. So it's right there. We teach everything about how to make money from cryptocurrency. No, I'm not fucking sorry for anything.
Yeah,
if you're a man with any level of testosterone level, and you've been witnessing what's been happening in the world in the last 2 years, I struggle to sleep at night. Like literally what's happening is fucking crazy. And I'm struggling to sleep. And I'm an individual with $50 million who can hide and disappear. If I was Joe Schmo, I'd be scared. You're out here, they're lying to you about the inflation rate. You're not getting a pay rise. Like what? Where's your panic? Yeah. People are not panicking. They lack perspicacity. They're not paying attention to anything. It's the ability to be perceptive.
Oh, shit.
And they're not paying attention to anything. And they're just sitting there waiting for the fucking steamroller. You think in 10 years from now, things are going to be better?
Like, what's out of you out of your fucking mind? You need to prepare for this. And the whole idea of prepping in the old traditional sense of buying a bunch of food and hiding in the forest and the cabin in the woods, that ain't gonna work either. You need a global network, you need a secret society, you need places you can hide, you need money, and you need the ability to bounce. That's what you need. That's what I have, right? But I don't know how fucking Joe Schmo's even functioning in society nowadays, because I'd be furious. I'd be like, what the fuck? You tell me inflation's 7%? That's a lie. The modern world suffers from a bout of cowardice. The average man in the world today is just a fucking coward. It's not that he doesn't pay attention. It's not that he doesn't know. Yeah. It's that if he pretends it isn't there, it's ostrich shit. Yeah. I'm just gonna hide. I don't know what to do, so I want to hide from it. It can't possibly be true. No, they can't possibly have lied about that.
Oh,
no,
boy.
It's all cowardice, right?
Yeah.
Because you're a coward. Because when you accept the realities, now you need to do something. You're implored to act. Yeah. They don't want that. So we're suffering from a massive pandemic of cowardice. That's the only pandemic in the world today. I see it, men say it all the time. Well, it's not that bad. You know it's that bad. I'm a chess player, right? My father was a chess player. I truly have no intention of changing the world. I have no political affiliation. I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, I'm not right, I'm not left. I don't believe in changing the rules of the game. I believe in winning. In chess, when you look at the board, you don't sit there and go, I'm losing, I wish a pawn could move that way. That's stupid, because that's not the game.
Right.
What I do believe in saying is, okay, I'm fucked, but what's the best possible move?
Yes.
And what you'll actually notice is a grandmaster, you play a grandmaster at chess, he is sticking to the same rules as you. He's within the same constraints, but he will destroy you because he has a better understanding of the rules. I'm not out to change any rules. My society's not out to change any rules. The society can stay exactly as it is, can be as corrupt as it is. Don't give a fuck. I have no political affiliation. I don't care who's president, don't care. All I care about is analyzing the chessboard and making the most intelligent move for my... Yeah, but I'm still... Yeah, it is. But you know what? What's truth it's kind of upsetting to some degrees. I'm still crap. Like, I'm good, but I'm shit.
Right,
because
right.
I could play any normal person and smoke them.
Yeah.
In ELO, in chess terms, I'm around 1800. I don't know if anyone knows what that is. But my father was a master. He was like 2500. And it's amazing how good these people are at chess. My father used to beat me at chess from the other room. Wow. So I'd have the board. He'd be cooking dinner. I'd say E4, C5, knight F3, knight C6, and he'd just read it out while cooking dinner and smoke without looking at the chessboard. It's incredible. Yeah. And I lost my chess coach because my father stayed in America. So I lost my chess coach and I decided to do something that's similar. And to me, chess is war. Kickboxing is war. It's one-on-one. There's no luck. There's no team that's there to help you or save you. And you have to be ruthless. You have to crush your opponent absolutely. And also another thing about chess and fighting that's completely the same is if you lose, somewhere you made a mistake. There's no luck involved. Right. It doesn't matter how good you were doing. There's no such thing as a lucky punch. If he catches you and you go, he's training to punch people in the face. He just punched you in the face. Yeah. There's no such thing as a lucky punch. Yeah. If you lose at some point in life, I was about to apply it to life. If you lose at some point in chess, you made a mistake. If you lose in fighting, at some point you made a mistake. And in life, I believe if you lose at some point in life, you got complacent, you made a mistake. Even with a complete black swan event like COVID, if you're going to allow yourself to be completely decimated and you did not have any kind of preparation plan or any kind of network that could help you or any kind of moves to make, you made a mistake. So I apply that. So when I couldn't play chess anymore, I thought, well, everything I love about chess, I can find in fighting. So there's a video, if you can actually find it, if you go to YouTube and you look in my highlight reel, there's a video of me fighting in Macedonia in the World Championships. I was representing the USA and I fought a German fighter. If you type into to YouTube, Andrew Tate highlights, it'll come up. And there's me against a German guy. And when I knocked him out badly, seeing him on the floor was, that's it, the top one. Seeing him on the floor, you'll scroll through, you see a guy in German shorts. Seeing him on the floor was kind of cool. But you know what was much cooler? Seeing the look on his wife's face.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Because I know she left it. Well, you just saw your man get beaten the fuck out of.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to suck his dick. No.
There you go.
Here we go. So watch, in about 45 seconds from here, you'll see. But yeah, it's primal. Like once you've done fighting, you can't beat anybody at anything else because, oh, I beat him at basketball. Well, who fucking cares? A ball on the net. Like who gives a shit, right? Beating a dude up is different.
Yeah.
So like it kind of destroys all other sports because everything else is boring.
Absolutely.
Now when I go to Germany, they tell me to put the vaccine. You need your vaccine passport. I'm like, listen, you didn't see what I do the last fucking Germany. Talk shit. Shut the fuck up. You know what's funny as well? Because money protects me. Let me tell you, I was in Munich and the police are walking around, mask. I pull up to the Kapinski in a fucking Ferrari 812 Superfast.
I walk in the reception. Sir, would you like a mask? No, I would not. Thank you. Keep walking. And I know it's that money protects you, right? When you're a big dude walking with confidence, pulling up in a $300,000 car, staying in the penthouse, they're more scared to tell you to do things than if you're just Joe Schmo. I know they shouldn't be, but they are.
They are.
The staff are like, oh, who the fuck's that guy? I'll just let him. He doesn't wear one. But with the average person, they're over there, mask.
Yeah.
Me and my brother, we've walked around and broke every single fucking COVID restriction since the dawn of this shit. All of it. We just walk around saying, make me. I'll call the police. Call them. By the time they get here, I'm bouncing. I'm gone. I walked into a fucking coffee shop in Germany. I was like, bro, latte. He goes, you need a mask. I said, there's only you and me in here. Are you scared of COVID? He goes, no, but it's the rules. I said, have Germans not yet learned about blindly complying with governments? Have you read a history book? Oh, but what the? I said, there's no police here. Stop shitting yourself. What are you afraid of?
Yeah.
But you're such a fucking coward. Make my coffee. No wonder you're a barista, you pussy. Fucking unbelievable. I had to cuss this German guy out, tell him he's a bitch. Get back in the fucking McLaren. Get a drive-through coffee. It's unbelievable. It's crazy.
That is insane.
It's fucking insane.
It's insanity.
It's just male cowardice.
And but
99% of the time. And that's how all this shit ends. I said this to someone. Someone came to me and said, what do we actually do about this? I said, listen, don't get kicked off flights. Don't get put on no-fly list. No.
Yeah.
If you have to wear a mask, wear a mask. My argument is very simple. Don't put one on first. Make them have to come and tell you. Then say, I don't have one. Make them go and get one. Make them go and bring it back. Then hang it off your ear and still don't wear it. Sir, over your mouth and nose. Okay, then put it on your chin. And just make it so fucking difficult. Yeah. If everyone did that, they'd give up. But no, I see all these good little slaves, before they even go in the store, finding a mask in their car. I wonder why I'm broke. Because you live inside the slave system. You're living in the slave mine. Dude. You're a peon, a peasant. You're an ant in the fucking ant farm. You don't think for your fucking self. It's crazy. But this is what's dangerous about the world. This is what people don't understand. And this is what my society discusses always, is that throughout history, the way humanity got here is that it was the biggest, strongest alphas of society that were in charge of society.
Yes.
We now live in a world where it's the beta male tech programmers that rule the world. And if you give a bunch of betas power, they're going to abuse it worse than anybody. Have you ever given a weak man power? You see what they do with it? Because they've never felt powerful. You can give me power. We talk about all the shit I do with women on a serious level, right? If a woman trusts me and she gives me power over her in a relationship, I'm going to take care of her in every single way. I'm not going to fucking abuse her. I felt powerful my whole life. I kick the shit out of dudes. I'm not going to hit a chick. Why would I, right? You give a beta male power, look what they do. Because they've never felt powerful. And men have a natural masculine imperative for power. Everything we discussed earlier. We talked about men want status, right? So you give weak men power, they're going to exploit it. And the weakest members of society are now becoming the most powerful members of society. And they can control fucking information. It's the end of the world. This is the end of the fucking world. This is not a joke. This is the end of the fucking world. Well, I've had this argument with a feminist before. She was like, oh, well, we've never tried matriarchies. We've only tried patriarchies, blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen, bitch. Yes, they have been tried. But the problem is this. The problem is this.
Yeah.
The closer you are to the base level of survival, the more people naturally revert to their gender roles. If 10 men and 10 women were on a boat and they got shipwrecked, the men would instantly start shelter, fire, hunting, and the women would start doing the women things. When you get rid of all the crap and all the society and all the programming, people will revert to their gender roles. The reason we do that is because it gives us the best possible chance of survival. That's why in poor countries where survival is harder, people are closer to their natural gender roles.
Totally.
Right? Totally. So that makes sense as a whole. So this feminist is saying to me, oh yeah, but we've never tried a matriarchy. I said, no, I'm sure it's been tried. The problem is it's very, very difficult to survive under a matriarchy. It's not the natural gender roles. And the matriarchies that did exist in humanity, I'm sure they existed. The reason we don't discuss them is they never even got a chance to create any history because they were fucking decimated by the patriarchies. What is the statistical odds? Someone at home, some feminist, if you can do some fucking math, you bimbo, work this out. What are the odds of every single society since the dawn of human time all across the planet being run by men? All of them. This is not an idea that could have spread. You had the Aztecs and the Mao Dynasty. They didn't fucking talk. This is every single civilization that we can ever possibly name or discover, men were in charge. The reason for that is because all the ones where women were in charge got fucking wiped out because they're not competitive. So what happens is, and they lose to patriarchies. So what's going to happen here as we become feminized, as the Western world becomes a matriarchy, as women get more and more influence and power, feminists are fucking walking down the street saying we want the same rights as men. You have more rights than men. There's not a single thing a man can do a woman can't do, but you have a whole bunch of laws in your favor. Yeah. You have more rights than men already. What the fuck are you talking about? And then they say they want to be respected for their ideas, and they get their tits out because nobody gives a shit unless they're naked. So they're fucking dumb. The whole point is,
The whole point is that the matriarchy that we are creating in the West is no longer going to be competitive in the long run. We are not going to be competitive. And I'm not going to say what the competition is, but whatever the competition is, if men retain control, we are going to fucking lose. The world is cyclical. I live in Eastern Europe now, right? Eastern Europe, 20, 30 years ago, shithole. Now it's the best place on the planet. California, 20, 30 years ago, best place on the planet. Now, shithole. It just takes a long time for reputations to catch up.
Yeah.
Yep.
People are talking about California because they think it's like the 90s. Yeah, Baywatch, cool. That's gone.
That's gone.
It's Crack Watch.
Yeah.
Homeless Watch.
Yeah.
That's all they got over there now.
Tax watch.
Yeah, so as the world catches up and as things change, any society that retains its patriarchal roots, it's going to outcompete the West. I really do think that the Western world, along with America, is fucking finished. And I think if you have half a brain as a man here in the Western world, you need to get some money. I'll teach you in Hustlers University. Get in a society that understands that, and we teach you how to prepare for it. I'm not trying to change it. I'm just trying to make the smartest move in the chessboard. It's more than weird. It's testament to the slave mind in so many ways, but I'll give you a perfect example of testament to the slave mind. When I get forced to put a mask on, I put it on my chin, and nobody says anything. They don't give a shit about they just hang it down here.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about the mask. They just want to see you comply. I'm complying. I'm a slave. You must be a slave with me. Yeah. I don't want to see your free spirit and your rebellion. Yeah. They don't give a shit about the actual safety of COVID. They don't give a fuck about your breathing. They just want to see you comply. Another thing that's always been remarkable to me, and maybe it's because I've never had that matrix mindset, is if I was working a normal job, right? Let's say I worked in a sandwich store. And I'm not shitting on the average guy who does average work. I'm not doing that at all. Any work is respectable and it's hard out here to make. I don't give a fucking carry garbage. It's hard to make money. But if I was working a normal job, as much as I would do my job to the best of my ability, I'd also be very, very understanding of the fact that my job doesn't give a fuck about me. They don't care about me. They never will. If they have to sack me or fire me to keep their business functioning, that's exactly what they're going to do, and they're going to let me starve. So if I was working in a sandwich store and someone came without a mask, I'd be like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck do you care? Here's what they want: slaves inside the matrix, inside of the machine. They were teaching you to not think for yourself and to blindly comply. It starts with the mask. Blindly put the mask on. Blindly get the injections. Blindly. They don't want you to think. If you think and realize it doesn't make sense, you're no good to them. They don't want you smart enough to think for yourself. They want you smart enough to pay your taxes. And that's about it. Like they don't give a shit. It's really, I use the word slave and people think I'm being dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. If you are think wearing a mask for 4 feet is saving lives, you are absolutely, completely a slave. You're a slave. You're owned. You're totally owned. And there's so many people out here who are actually genuinely owned. At the height of this COVID nonsense, at the real height of it, the number of times I and there's certain countries I'll behave, on a flight I'll behave, there's certain times, right? But I was in Spain, I'm flexing, doing my thing, in the Ferrari, being a G. Yeah. Leave me the fuck alone, got Spanish bitch, my life's fine. Yeah. Pull up to the gas station, put gas in the Ferrari, walk in, mask. No, I ain't got one. Well, then I won't serve you. So the gas is free? Because I'll put gas in. You want money or not? Because I'll leave right now, the gas is free. I call police, it's like, fucking call them. So I take the euros and I throw it on the floor. Get out, go to get in the fucking Ferrari. I'm paid now. Yeah. I paid you. Go to get in the Ferrari. Some guy goes, you should have respect. I said, respect for what? He goes, you should wear a mask. I said, I don't wear a mask where I'm from. He goes, well, you're in Spain now. I said, your government should have respect for you instead of making you a fucking slave, dickhead. No, you must wear a mask. You must wear a mask. And I just said, and this is one of the great things about physical confrontation, which I'm not trying to advocate, but sometimes it's just a very easy way to make people go away. I'm like, bro, you want to fight me over a fucking mask? Come tell me to put a fucking mask on. And he shits himself and walks up. See, so then fuck off. Like, back in the Ferrari, go fuck the Spanish bitch, conquer their country. Yeah. That's right. Spaniards. I took her. She's done with. Done. I took your prized possession. She's messed up. Whichever Spanish man gets with her next, he'll be like, why is she always starting arguments with me? Why is she never happy? Because she's dreaming of the night she had with me. She's unhappy with you and you'll never be able to please her. She's widowed forever. It's done. Fuck you, Spain. That's what you have to tell me to put a fucking mask on. I might have gone easy on her pussy if it wasn't for that little fucking Pedro motherfucker coming to me trying to tell me to do shit. That's what happens. That's what happens. Spain's done. Nobody go there. You might run into her. Done. It's a mess. We're doing this because it's a perfect opportunity for the New World Order to usher in something other than protection and safety. It's always been the same playbook. It's you know what's really amazing to me? Especially like in Romania, I was going on a tour and I was doing a tour of the country because it's really beautiful and I was seeing all the nature side of it. And I had these 2 tour guides. They're really nice people, but they're like kind of liberal. And they're complying with all this COVID shit. And I said, don't you understand that if this was the 1930s, you'd literally be the Nazis? Don't you understand that you're thinking back, oh, I never would have helped the Nazis do that. You're blind compliance. It's the same fucking playbook. You're not thinking for yourself. Does that not cross your mind? And like, oh no, but I know someone who got sick. You've always known people who got sick. Your entire life, you knew somebody who got the cold. Why is that now justification for the absolute decimation of your civil rights? It doesn't make sense. The biggest paradigm shift from all this crap that's actually genuinely dangerous is, as humans, we have all, for our entire lives, walked around spreading antigens to some people. You've given someone a cold, you've given someone a cough, I've given someone the flu. We've always done that. It's been a normal part of human life. We were never seen as bad people for existing and accidentally passing on a disease, right? Now they've shifted the paradigm. So if you pass on COVID, you're guilty. How the fuck does that work?
Yeah.
And how does that ever end? And how do you ever put an end to this where it's not just deeper and deeper and deeper restrictions and more and more and more control? And it doesn't even fix anything. It's absolutely incredible that people are not awake enough. But this is the thing. When I talk to people about this, there's some people who totally understand and some people who are just so perma-distracted. And when I was saying earlier about like the women in the household and that kind of thing, I'm not trying to say women can't have opinions. But my point is there's a whole bunch of men out here who genuinely know that this COVID shit's out of control. But they're too busy arguing with their wife to do anything about it. Right. They're preoccupied. If it's not your wife, it's a video game. It's not your video game. It's a job. It's not a job. It's politics or whatever. Some other distraction. It's all garbage. When Rome was losing, all they did was have endless circuses to keep you distracted from the losing war. The world we live in today, they try very hard to prevent you from curating your reality. You're constantly distracted by everything. And it's hard to focus on nearly anything. And they do that on purpose. For you to go stand out in the rain and protest, that takes focus. They want you distracted. They want arguments in the household. They want blacks to hate the whites, Republicans to hate Democrats. They want us all arguing with each other, for all of us to hate our neighbor, and us all to be so distracted and selfish and self-absorbed that we can't think beyond ourselves. That's what they're trying to do to us. And it's absolutely and utterly work.
It works.
There's very few of these people. And look what they've fucking done to the entire world. It's absolutely insane. And before I get offed, I'd never commit suicide. So let's put that there.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. It's really crazy. And I don't think I'm on a hit list because I'm full of shit, right? I'm some millionaire with a bunch of bitches, bunch of cars. Tate's full of shit. I'm full of shit. Cool. But if you're still living inside the matrix, we'll talk in 20 years to see who's full of shit.
Yeah.
I'm free and I'm staying free. I don't want to change the system. I'm not out to change nothing, but it's remarkable to me that people aren't awake.
To begin with.
You gotta grow a backbone, and you can do that by, if you improve your physicality, you usually improve your mentality along with it. And men are expected to be wise and interesting. You need stories. You're not gonna have stories unless you've taken risk. You need to get some balls. You need to get some balls and live a life. I told him, man, go get on the train in Portugal and ride it for 3 weeks all the way to Singapore and think about what a fucking punk you are. And at least you'll end it with some stories.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, you have plenty of time to reflect on what a bitch you are. Go into the bathroom and look in the mirror, look deep in your eyes and say, yeah, I wouldn't fuck me either. It's not easy because every single one of us to some degree is an empty vessel. We're all programmed.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as escaping the slave mind. You must just, to some degree, understand who is programming you and understand if you really want those characteristics. Most people are repeating opinions. And I'm saying, where did you get that opinion from? They can't remember where they got it from. They don't know who even told them. They don't know why they so fervently believe in it. They're just told, they're programmed. You need to genuinely analyze your brain, defrag every single opinion you strongly have and identify where it came from and if that person has your best interest at heart. And what they're trying to do, especially with young men, is program them, because we're all empty vessels. And what you have to do as an adult, as a parent, is to program your child stronger than all of society. It's not an easy job. Because all of society, from the YouTube videos to the TV shows to the school, every single thing is trying to program them in one direction. You have to combat that. And that's not an easy job. And if you just sit there and get lazy about it, you will fucking lose. We're all programmed. All of us are programmed to some degree. So it's a scary thing. That's what this fat fuck. He's delusional. Yeah. He's delusional on every level. And you need to hold yourself accountable. The reason I talk about women the way I do is because I hold myself such a high standard as an individual. I don't make mistakes. I'm a professional. I know exactly how to act and exactly what to do. I do not need a woman to motivate me, to be my mother, to convince me to put the video games down. Please stop smoking weed. Everything I've done fantastic. I've done completely and utterly by myself. I did it without you. My life's amazing in every single possible metric. Now I'm going to allow you to join it. And therefore you're going to bend to my reality and my will. That's not me being arrogant and a psycho. That's me just being completely realistic about my achievements as an individual.
That's a pretty good case.
There's a whole bunch of delusion in this space. And it's not just these guys. There's loads of guys. And I have a load of guys who are credible in the space who invite me on and stuff. And I sit there listening to the things they want from a woman. And they don't understand the reality. The reality of the world is that beautiful women have all the choices in the world. If they have all the choices in the world and you're not competitive, how the fuck are you going to pull it off with a bit of gain? We also talk about money. I want to make something clear about money. Getting rich is probably the worst thing that can happen to the majority of men. Most men are not ready for money. And I say this because I was broke for a very long time, lived a very difficult life, and then became rich. That's why I am, because money amplifies. So if you're the man first and then you get rich, you're the man.
Yeah.
If you're a punk and then you get rich, now you're a massive punk.
We were just talking about this before you came. Like,
thanks.
Wow.
Thanks, my friend.
We were just talking about
it. It happens with crypto kids, right? I had one kid come to me, some 20-year-old kid who caught a pump, some stupid coin, whatever. He made $86 million.
Damn.
And he came to me and he was like, Tate, I need your help. I have $86 million, blah, 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 my life's still shit. It's like, yeah, because now you're just sugar daddy to a bunch of hoes who don't give a fuck about you, and you're a robbery target, and you're just hiding, and like your life's over now. Like, you should have been the man first. You could have been a big G first. You can't even fucking pull a firearm. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, that's the worst thing that could happen to you, because you're never going to want to work hard. You're never going to want to network. You're never going to learn the skills. Before the modern period of wealth creation, because in Hustlers University, I teach people how to make money fast. Anybody. I teach you how to make as much money as you possibly can quickly. But in the old way, the old world, the only way you could make money was by talking to people, networking, sales, influence, all these things. You'd learn lessons along the way. By the time you had the money, you learned a lot about life.
Yeah.
But now you can skip all the lessons and just get the fucking money.
You're right.
And these dudes are a mess, right? So wealth is the worst thing that can happen to people.
True.
So we talk about how, money attracts girls. No, it fucking doesn't. Because in the realm of a beautiful woman, everybody's rich. She will only go on dates with a man who has a nice car and pays her dinner. She may not know who's richer than the other, but in her view, men just have money. Right. I talk to beautiful women, like genuine 10s. Oh, well, men have money. They don't even consider some men are poor because they've never spoken to one. Yeah. They don't know. Yeah. All men just have money from the sky. Men just have money.
That's a great point.
It's normal for them, right? It's kind of like having arms. Right? It's like, it's not enough to attract her. She just expects it to be there. It's like, oh yeah, you have money. And if you don't have money, she'll be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah. So now it's all the other qualities come in.
Given is money.
So money will qualify you to try. That's it. Yeah. It's not going to attract the woman purely unless you're literally paying her a day rate and she's a hooker. Yeah. So people talk about money attracting women. I know a bunch of dorks with a bunch of money and no pussy. Yeah. Because I was like, because you're still a fucking nerd, G. Yeah. You're still a fucking nerd. Yeah. Like,
God, I miss that word.
They are nerds. I use that word purposely.
I miss it.
It's intrinsic. It's like back to school.
Yeah.
You're a nerd.
You're fucking nerds, dude.
I was a nerd. I am a nerd. Yeah. No, but you are. And money amplifies. I say this all the time. If you see a dude get out of a Lambo. Fucking nerd. If you see a dude get out of a Lambo and he's a skinny little guy with glasses, you're like, oh, tech dork. Total nerd. Yeah. If you see a guy get out of a Lambo and he's big, tall, strong, cobra tattoo, big G, you're like, okay, mafia boss. It amplifies.
Yes.
The Lambo amplifies. It doesn't change who you are. And money's the same. Money's an amplifier. It's a really important point because the world often talks about fake it till you make it. And I'm like, no, there's nothing fake about belief. There's nothing. I knew I was going to be the big G before I was the big G. There's nothing fake about belief. Right. I knew what I was going to be. Like, there's nothing fake about belief. So if you truly believe, then it can be carried, and women can detect that. Yeah. Women are always with guys with ambition. You don't need to have the money. You need to have the ambition. They need to feel it. Yes. And if they can feel it and they know you're about it, then that's enough. You don't actually need the physical cash. No, he made a really important point. And you know what's so attractive about younger women? Because a lot of these dudes talk about fertility and looks and stuff. I don't actually think it's that. I think that in the modern world, in the days of old, right, you'd meet a woman, you get married, you'd be together, whatever. In the modern world, if I meet a girl who's 33 and single, I know the amount of dick that's been through her before me is just simply unattractive. I don't care how nice you are, but you're 33 years old. How many men have fucked? If I get a 19-year-old girl, I might be her second or third man, right? Yeah. I'm going to be dude number fucking 29. Yeah. And all the trauma and heartbreak and bullshit they put you through, you're going to try and bring to my door? Yeah. Like, well, my last man cheated. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Like, I don't care. Like, why is that my problem? So if you pick up older women, you have to accept they've been on the carousel longer. They've had more fucking rides, more spins. Yeah. I don't want that shit.
So you'd like 19, 20.
I want the younger she is,
fresh
and
slate.
The younger and the more beautiful she is, the less men she slept with. Another reason I like beautiful women is not for the objective beauty. I say this all the time. If I see a truly beautiful girl, I'm not like, wow, she's beautiful. I'm like, you know what? She has so much choice. That cunt is. Yeah. That woman is so picky. And the reason I'm very, very particular with how I speak, the reason I'm very, very particular with the things I say, and I'm very, very particular when people talk to me and I analyze certain words, is because we live in a world now where semantics are used to our detriment. People are using very, very selective words and they're using them to control the world. E.g., pandemic. There isn't one, but they say it, so now it becomes true. So when you say the word afraid, it implies fear. Choice is not related to fear, right? I have a choice, I have options, and I will not choose a negative option or a detrimental option or an option which is less favorable than the other. Because the likelihood of her falling completely in love with you and staying loyal to you and really believing you're the only man for her after being through so much trauma and so many men and sleeping with so many dudes and having her heart broken and having those memories of her ex and all that crap she's been through is far less likely than meeting a nice, young, beautiful girl who hasn't been with many men. And she goes, you know what? This is the guy I like him. Every woman who knows this and every man who watches this can be honest. Women fall in love with the person they lose their virginity to or their second or third guy. They really remember them. They really love them. Any woman who slept with 50 dudes, she doesn't even remember who most of them are. She doesn't care. If a woman slept with a bunch of men before you, she's less likely to stick it out through a difficult period in a relationship. She's more likely to just say, you know what? New answers, new dick.
That's a pretty good answer.
And that's the truth. So why would I put myself in a position
to be hurt?
No, not to be hurt, to waste my time.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's two ways to look at this. I talk so much. I'm sorry. The men who are out here only trying to have sex with women and have no emotional connection, they're weirdos. A lot of this red pill, how to get girls stuff, a lot of them are like that as well. They're like the peak masculine life is just to have a bunch of women that you barely know, and that's stupid. That's fucking ridiculous, right? Every man, if you want to have a good life, you need to have a good relationship with a good woman. When you get sick, it's your woman who's going to care, not your boys, right? But you can love her and she can love you with all her heart. You can love each other. You can be prepared to take a bullet for her. Yeah. And still fuck other bitches.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? It's no big deal. It's no big deal. You gotta do, we gotta do, we gotta do. So I've got the women who I really care about and I love, but I've also got the other women who's just like,
okay, but we have children and stuff. What if?
Let me tell you something about the world, because I haven't told you enough yet. I know you think that this is supposed to go on for 2 hours or something. We just got fucking warmed up. We just got started. Sorry, production staff, I'm not done. Let me tell you something about the world. When you're not prepared to fight, if you're not prepared to fight to defend an idea, and this is actually something you can extrapolate to how the whole world works, right? Yeah. When you find men who are physically capable or with high testosterone levels, we're allowed to have ideas which are abstract, because if someone disagrees with us, we're prepared to defend them. If you're a little bitch, what you do is you go through life and you say things that are completely socially acceptable because you don't want to ever have to defend your point.
I believe this guy genuinely likes
No, he's a
women.
punk. Yeah. And he saw on Twitter he's supposed to like it, so now he likes it. That's what he is. He's slave-minded because he's afraid to say something which he's going to have to defend. But don't you see that when the Matrix and the people in charge of it try their very best to destroy objective reality?
Yeah.
When they deliberately convince you things that aren't true, when they destroy objective reality, your mind is now fully open for programming. Yeah. That is a woman because she says she's a woman. Yeah. That is attractive because they said this is a pandemic. I work hard. Inflation is good. Inflation is good. Give me my 5th booster injection. It's destroying your mind to the point where you're completely open for programming. That's why they purport these lies. Yeah. They purport the fallacy to wipe your brain of any independent thought so they can inject the slave. Right. So about 3 years ago, there is a liberal guy. I can't, for some reason, his name has escaped my mind, but if you look up banter teacher, he was an English teacher who banned the word banter in the class.
He banned the word banter?
Yeah, he's a real fat guy, pure super liberal. What's his name? Michael something. And he was always begging for money on Twitter because banter, B-A-N-T-E-R. Teacher bans banter. Look that up and you'll see it. And he was always begging for money on Twitter because, you know, the right-wing guys have Mike Stutchbury. That's him.
Yeah.
So this dude, he was constantly crying on Twitter, I need mental support. Can anyone give me like a GoFundMe because of the right wing and all this crap, right? So he started running his mouth to me on Twitter because he didn't like me telling the truth about the world, telling me I'm misogynist and all this shit, and just running his mouth to me. And by absolute freak coincidence, I didn't even try. Someone's like, you know he lives in Luton, right? I was like, no fucking way.
Which is where you were.
That's where I'm from.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, he lives in Luton. I was like, and then I was going back to London because I just bought a new Aston Martin Vanquish S. You know, one of them things. You know, you leave Romania on the jet, you pick up your new Aston. What's the first place you're going to go? And I was like, you know what? By coincidence, he just wrote some more shit. Corporate Tate, misogynist, feminist. I was like, fuck you. So I drove to his house. Let me see if I can find it. But I went and knocked on his door. And he had a full mental breakdown. Oh, he had a full mental breakdown.
And what'd you say to him?
Well, this is the funny thing, right? Here it is. Let me find it. Here we go. So he's blocked me now. So he used to say he doesn't drink, but this is me taking a picture of his trash can with all those wine bottles. It's like, why say you don't drink, you alcoholic fuck? So I'm at his door. But I'm not a violent guy. I don't want to hit the guy. I don't go to jail, right? Yeah. I just want to talk to him. I just want to say hello. Like, you make fun of me all day. Can't I say hello? So I went and knocked on his door, and he starts screaming out the window, I'm calling the police. I'm calling the police. I was like, bro, I just wanted to show you my new car. What's the problem? So I started trying to talk to him. The police turn up. The police rock up. Let me find the actual picture of me outside his house because it's beautiful.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so the police rock up. And what I said was very simple. I said, look, I'm a Jehovah's Witness and I want to spread the word of the Lord. I didn't know knocking on the door was illegal.
And what did the police say?
Well, he's intimidated. So I touched the guy. I didn't know it was illegal. I just want to tell him the name of the Lord of the Lord. And they're like, well, go away. And then I got a lawyer. My lawyer's like, well, you've only been warned once. You can be warned 4 times. I was like, yeehaw! I'm coming back, Mike. I'm coming back. He actually moved house because of me. He did. I'll tell you a story about my dad. This story went viral on one of my Twitter accounts. That got banned for a while. But when I was in school, I was on the school bus in Indiana, and I was, how old was I? 6 or 7, and there was these 2 kids who were maybe 9 or 10 who used to pick on me from behind, right? And they used to pick on me on the bus all the time. And I came home to my dad and he said, pick on me. He goes, what are you gonna do about it? I was like, well, I don't know what to do. They're bigger than me. He goes, you have a lunchbox? I was like, that was his answer. So anyway, they kept picking on me. And after about 10 days, when they picked on me, after about 2 weeks later, I remember one of them slapped me on the side of the face and stung. And I turned around my lunchbox and smashed him clean in the face. And it was a plastic Batman lunchbox. It was blue. And when I hit him, it splintered, it cut him. So blood squirting everywhere all over the school bus, right? And the 2 bullies are like, now they crap themselves because the kid they picked on all of a sudden just turned around and smashed him in the face. So I came home. After I hit him, it was just before, as the bus stopped, I turned around, smashed him, and ran off the bus. So as I ran off the bus, I ran all the way home, like scared, because I just hit him. And I got home when I just had the handle of the lunchbox. That's all I had left. And my dad saw me, and he instantly said, let's go buy a new lunchbox. And we went to the Walmart, and he said, I'll buy you as many of these as you need, son. And he bought me a new lunchbox, and that was the end of my bullying story. No, he bullied me again. He didn't ask me who they were. The school called. I don't know what he said to him. Must have told him to fuck off. I never heard about it again. But that was my dad's answer. Oh, my dad didn't come to save me. I kept telling my dad about him. He's like, no, fix it. Yeah. And after I smashed him in the face, my dad bought me a brand new lunchbox. He goes, anytime you need a new lunchbox, let me know. Otherwise, you know what to do. And that was it.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I was never picked on again.
That's right.
And I learned my lesson for life, right? Sometimes you tolerate X, and then it gets to Y. You got to do what you got to do.
That's right.
It's life. And I mean, look, the programming, I curate my reality very, very carefully. Like, I don't even really read my own YouTube comments. I don't really, because it's just bullshit. Like,
Why would you? It's terrible.
Yeah, I really have an existence where I only talk to the people in my network, people I do business with, my brother. I live in a country which is sensible. I really am not around much of this, but I accidentally pick up bits of it. But I really try and curate my reality very, very carefully, because it's actually one of the things that's amazing to me. I said this the other day. Everybody understands that you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Everybody understands that.
Dan Pena.
Everybody understands that. But they understand that and still hang around with fucking losers.
True.
It's like, is that not the ultimate mark of being a dumbass? If you understand that that's the truth and you don't curate your friendship and curate your reality,
yes,
then you're a loser. I had a guy join the War Room the other day, my private network, and he joined, and we have multi-millionaires in there, we have a billionaire in there. I bought a Bugatti purely to add Bugatti owners to my network. So we have Bugatti owners in there. We have guys connected to the point where I can't even say you on YouTube, right? A guy joined, he's 19, he ain't nothing. He goes, look, I know I don't have any value to give, but I'm just here to learn, and I understand that if I stand a chance at escaping the Matrix, you're the man. And I was like, you're absolutely intelligent. Instead of spending 19 sitting around playing video games, that's the smartest thing you could have ever done.
Sure.
His life's going to change forever, right? Because he's around people who understand. So all the people out here who sit there and go, yeah, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with the most. Yeah. And then go hang around with dickheads. 100%.
Yeah.
Because as much as I don't want to sound airy-fairy, I have noticed, I have a saying, and it's not a very remarkable saying, but I use it all the time. And that's dumb shit leads to dumb shit. And I say that for an example, like, let's say you leave your car unlocked. You're unprofessional, you leave your car unlocked. Now it gets stolen. Now there's a police case. Now, dumb shit leads to dumb shit. So when I'm around people who do dumb shit or unprofessional things, or they're not smooth, or they don't get their shit right, or they're negative, I refuse, because it comes true.
Yeah.
It's like you make it true. If I hang around with your stupid ass long enough, all the stupid shit you're talking about is going to happen to me.
Yeah.
So it's like you speak it into existence.
Yes.
So I refuse to be around it. Dumb shit leads to dumb shit. Everyone I talk to is such a fucking winner that when I sit around, all I can do is accidentally win.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, bam, more money. Like, all you can do is win when you're around winners.
It's true.
It's all you can do. So you have to be very, very selective, and you have to very, very carefully curate your reality. And that's why I created the War Room, because it's a global network, but you have to be global and you have to be online nowadays, because if you're a normal dude living a normal life, you're never going to meet winners in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Because they're all slaves.
Yeah.
So you have to find that guy in Singapore who's a winner, those 2 guys in Dubai who's a winner, one in London. Like, it's hard now.
Yeah.
It's getting harder and harder. But yeah, I don't tolerate negativity around me. I refuse to tolerate it. It kind of reminds me, I knocked my own friend out once. At my girlfriend's house, I'm 21. Anyway, her ex comes over with 5 of his friends, and they had hammers, because he was mad I'm with this chick. I'm with my boy, and I'm like, what should we do? My friend's like, what should we do? What should we do? It's like, listen, this has been going on a while. He's been texting me that there's been a problem. Let's go out. Let's just do this. So I go out with my friend, and the ex goes to me, starts threatening me with the hammer. You just have to apologize. You want me to say sorry for taking his place. So I ain't saying sorry. Because if you capitulate, it gets worse, right? So I was refusing to say sorry to you. And my friend next to me goes, well, why don't we just say sorry? It's 5 against 2. And now the guy on my team is acting like a coward and inspiring the enemy. I turned around and punched him so hard in his fucking face.
Wow.
I knocked my own friend out cold. And you know what those 5 dudes did after that? Shit. They're like, Tate's nuts. He just knocked his own boy out before the fight starts. But you have to dismantle the coward next to you if you stand a chance. You can't be rolling with cowards. Cowards are they're more detriment than anything else. If that fight went down, do you think he was gonna help me? He would just fucking run away anyway. Yeah. So what do I need him for? He's just a mascot for my enemies. Now he's just helping the enemies out. Jeez. So you have to create your reality. I'm not saying you have to run around punching your friends, but the point I'm making is you have to create your reality that everyone on your team is at least aiding you and benefiting you. If you have any cowardice or negativity around you, it's going to drag you back. Those 5 dudes were scared of me until that fucker started saying we should say sorry. Then they all got really brave. Yeah. He made them brave. So I had to teach them and him a lesson. I obviously never spoke to his stupid ass again. He called the police and everything like a pussy. Assault. Shut up. But no, you need to create your reality. And that's another thing that the biggest mistake people make in the world. You're hanging around negativity and cowardice. If you're going to a dinner and your friends are like, well, this new variant, it is pretty scary. And you're sitting there, then you're a fucking dumbass. Fuck him. Yeah. Get out. Go sit with people who've been like, I've been traveling the world this whole time and the variant's fucking fine. Yeah. And you'll be amazed. Yeah, right? Yeah. You'll be amazed.
Absolutely. Anybody you can emotionally control, anybody you can emotionally affect, you have them in your pocket, right? To one degree or another. If you can emotionally control somebody, I'll tell you who's excellent at this. Women. Women are fantastic at this. If a woman realizes she can piss you off with X thing, she'll notice it, she'll keep it in her pocket. You know what? That annoys him. Cool, sorry, baby, sorry. 3 weeks later, 2 months later, they realize when you're vulnerable. I can tell you this, I can tell you the experience from fighting. When I was fighting, I was a kickboxing world champion, right? I never made millions from fighting. Kickboxing is not that big a sport. 10 years ago, even UFC wasn't as big as it is now. So I was making money, but I was probably fighting 2 or 3 times a year. And most I ever got paid was 100, 150 grand a fight. So I was kind of normal life. And whichever girlfriend I had at the time, no matter what, she always managed to start some asinine, stupid, immature fight with me like 3 days before a fight. Because I'm weight drained, I haven't eaten, I'm nervous, I can't sleep. I've been training for fucking 10 weeks. This monster's from fucking Kazakhstan, some psycho. I have to fly over to fucking fuck knows where and Bishkek to fight him. And now she's like, you're in the toilet seat. I'm like, the fucking toilet seat. I might die and he can kill me. But she knew that's when I was weak. She knew it. And that's when you can be emotional. But they detect it. This is when I can get it. And just sit on this computer. Go home then. Go toilet at home. Bye. No, I don't want to go home. No, now I actually want you to go home. Please leave my house. Oh, no, I didn't want to leave. Bye. Goodbye. Fuck you. Next girl. So they get you when you're weak, right? Yeah. And anyone who can emotionally control you and emotionally affect you has power over you. So if I say 5 wives and a feminist goes, 5 wives, you're dead, I'm fat. I'll sit there and just, but obviously a lot of food needs cooking, so she needs help. I don't say shit, but that's because they make it too easy. Yeah. If you're playing chess and you hang a piece, I'm gonna snap it up. You're gonna leave your knight hanging. Thank you very much, sir. Bam. That's the game. That's the game. So you're completely right. I do instigate to a degree because they make it so fucking easy to win. It's so easy for me to win debates against people because they get so pissed off with what I say. Another thing, and I'll give the game away. I'll give the game away to the entire YouTube world, why I've destroyed absolutely everybody in any debate ever. I say things that they know are true and that they agree with, but I say it in a way that angers them emotionally, and they get caught up in their brain because they're saying, he's saying the truth, but I'm pissed off by how he's saying it. So I want to argue with him, but he's right. So instead of saying men are physically stronger than women, I'll say females are weak. Females are weak. Well, females are weak. Men are strong. Females are weak. No, but I'm right. And he knows I'm right. But he's mad now. And so is she. And they sit there and it happen on Dave Portnoy. You end up having a whole group of people sitting there trying to argue. Well, some women are strong like men, trying to argue the fact that women are as strong as men physically because I've emotionally controlled them all and upset them all. And then I do a podcast and I get millions and millions of views and unlimited likes against good debaters like Dave and his little crew by just emotionally controlling them. It's an emotional game. I wreck them. I've never given this game away before anyway. But this is what I do. I sit there and I say something they know is true in a way they can't agree with it, and I fucking control them all. Because they're stupid. If I was me, I'd be like, yeah, okay, perhaps I don't like the way you phrased it, but you're very true. That takes intellect. People are emotional. So this is why I wreck all of them. And you're right, I poke them on purpose, and it makes it very difficult to argue with me, especially if they agree with what I'm saying, but they don't like the way it's being said. That's where you see the full breakdowns, the full mental breakdown. That happens all the time. Well, emotions are feedback. The idea that men don't feel emotions is incorrect. We feel emotions. I would actually argue we feel emotions with certain emotions stronger than women. I would argue that we feel heartbreak stronger than women. I would argue we feel anger like a woman could never understand. I would argue we are extremely emotional. Rage, pure rage. It's feedback. So when you get the feedback, it's all about how you internalize it and how you process it, right? It's having stoicism's not feeling emotions. It's feeling the emotion and going, okay, why is this happening? How much does this really matter? There's one more there I'd actually like to really disparage because it's the one that annoys me the most, where it says, I say that women should bear some responsibility for being raped. I'd like to take this time and explain what I was saying in long format video, which has been completely misconstrued. I was talking about a girl. I was having an argument with a feminist, and she was saying that we need to teach men not to rape. And I said, my dear, I love how idealistic you are, but I am realistic. Men are already taught not to rape. She's like, no, we need to go and change language at school and rewrite history and do all the shit they're trying to do to make men weak because they think that weak men don't rape, which is another argument I want to come back to because weak men are the most dangerous men on the planet. Let's talk about that later.
I think the world has always only ever been a battle for influence. Even if you look at the current battlefield, Ukraine is next door. It's 5 hours drive away. The battle in Ukraine is not just about tanks and trenches and grenades. It's a battle for influence. Who influences the people within this territory? Who is in charge of the thinking, the language, the mindset of people within this geographical area? Every single battle, every single pitched battle, every single argument, every single debate has always been a battle for influence. If you have influence, you're an extremely powerful person. All of us here are some of the most powerful people in the world. How many millions of people listen to us? We have massive influence. And I think you can have influence at the ground level. You don't have to be a famous podcaster or famously well-known to have influence. I would argue that those Romanian grandmas who gave me my food will remember me for the rest of their lives. I would like to believe I gave a positive influence and a positive impact on their lives for the rest of their life. I believe if you go through life and you're genuinely a good person, and you try your best to be good to people, and you're honest, and you shake hands, and you don't lie, and you're on time, and you work hard, and you're good to everyone who's good to you, I think you'll have a massive influence. And I also believe, I truly believe that God is extremely giving. There's the saying, goes around, comes around. Completely true. But I would say it comes from God. God is keeping an eye on you, and he's paying attention to you, and he knows the kind of person you are and the kind of things you do. And I don't believe if you're actually genuinely a good person all of the time, that you're not going to get some goodwill back to you. Look at my scenario. If I was being a piece of shit for years with all these chicks, I'd be in jail. I could have never seen this coming. But the fact I was nice, paid their taxi home, bought them food, looked after them. Are you okay? I know we broke up. I'm sorry. I know it hurts. I just did it. I was nice about all of it. Here I am. I'm fine. So I could have never seen this Matrix attack coming. It's amazing how what goes around comes around. It's truly amazing. If you're good to people, if you're generous to people, if you're helpful to people, you'd be amazed how much influence you can build up. I say this to people all the time. I don't think if you're a hardworking person who is honest, who shakes hands, who tries to learn, who does what they're supposed to do, who has a good heart, that you're truly, really not going to be able to get what you want. I think the universe is absolutely and utterly giving. When I see somebody who says they want something and they don't have it, I don't even think they truly even want it. You can have anything you want in the world. When a guy goes, I want a six-pack, then why ain't got one? If you wanted it, you'd have it. You'd like it. There's a bunch of things I'd like that I don't have, but I don't want them. Everything I've ever wanted, I've got. I've never wanted something and not had it. We all know what we're talking about here. There's things we'd like. I'd like to be able to figure skate. Not enough to go learn to figure skate, but
your doppelganger.
But if you truly want something, you're going to absolutely not have it. So when it comes down to influence, I think you start at the base level, at the grassroots level. And I think that...
You know what I'm asking?
I know what you're asking. I don't know if there's one particular person I took nuances from, because when you're a great communicator, you know how to be serious, and you know how to make people sad and angry, and you also know how to make people laugh. There's different people who can do lots of different things.
Who was that? Was it somebody that was multifaceted like that?
I think it was a lot of different people. And I also think that...
Did you pull from comedy as well, or no?
I certainly did, but I was also extremely self-critical. I think that's where a lot of it comes from. I'll watch this podcast back 15 times. I will notice every single time I made a mistake. Just then I said I'll watch twice. That was a mistake. I will watch this back 15 times and I will identify every single error. I have an email list, and I sign up and I get words of the day. I get 5 or 6 new words a day, which I try my very best to memorize. It's harder than you think to memorize 5 words a day, but I always try to make sure I have the most interesting vernacular I can possibly have, a wide vocabulary, so I can be very specific with my points. The reason I actually did that, I keep talking about my dad, but I'm his son. I have the same name, Emory Andrew Tate III. He was Emory Andrew Tate II. My father was a linguist for the CIA. He spoke Russian and German and Spanish and English. And I think I've told this before. Back then, when they needed someone who spoke Russian, they would take a Native American and teach them Russian. Nowadays, we have a bunch of Russian-speaking allies. You can go to Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. They're all NATO and just get a Russian speaker. Back then, they taught my dad Russian, and he held the Air Force record for the fastest assimilation of a foreign language. When he died, a guy sent me an email, sent me a message saying, "You don't know who I am, but I worked with your father in the Air Force," and he had the fastest assimilation. He learned Russian in 2 weeks. Crazy. And I remember saying to my dad, "Will you teach me Russian?" He said, "Boy, you don't even know English." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You don't even know English." And, and once he sat me down with a dictionary, I was like, "You're right. I don't even know English." That's why I've lived in Romania 7 years. People say, "Why don't you speak Romanian?" Because I don't know English yet. I need to finish the first job before I learn the second. I don't know English. There's a bunch of words I don't know. I can't speak how he spoke, so I don't have time for a second language. Yeah. Also, another thing I found really interesting, Putin speaks English. Have you ever heard him speak English? No. Because if you want to speak to Putin, you speak to him in his language. You speak to me in Russian, and I reply to you in Russian, so I cannot be misunderstood or misconstrued. I don't make a fool of myself. You can't get me on some vernacular trick. I speak my language, and I also prefer that also. I speak English, that's what I speak. If you want to speak to me, you speak to me in my language, so I will win the debate always. Because I always believed in trying to take the best parts of individual people and then amalgamate them. And I know you want a name, and I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I would look at people who I didn't even respect, but they'd have one particular thing about them. I thought, that's good. It could be somebody I didn't even like, but he dressed well. I think you just have to be perspicacious and look at people, and there's something you can learn from absolutely everybody, and just try and adapt it all. I'm not saying everybody should be clones of me. For everyone's individual, right? But there might be some things about me they find inspiring that they may adapt and take on board, and then they'll find some things from other people. But learning to speak is something I understood from a very young age how important that would be. That's a superpower. Okay, so first things first, you need to be worthy of respect. And you're going to be worthy of respect through having things which are difficult to acquire. So first things first, the basic things, you need to be very focused on trying to make money, because people listen to you when you have money. They just do. Secondly, you need to be in fantastic physical condition, because when you're in fantastic physical condition, it cannot be bought. It must be earned, and people know that. When you're in, I don't know about you, if someone walked in to sell me something and they were obese, I would not trust them the same as if they were in fantastic physical shape, because I'd say, I don't think you have dedication and heart. I don't think there's something about you that I just wouldn't trust you the same. So fantastic physical condition and money is the first thing. The second thing, whatever your ideas are, you need to learn how to communicate them. Speaking is a superpower in and of itself. You need to become a fantastic communicator. You need to be comfortable in all realms of communication. You need to be persuasive. You need to be comfortable arguing. You need to be good at debating. There's a lot of people out there in the world who have ideas that they can't even project into somebody else's mind. How are you going to rule the world with that? How are you going to get your ideas out there and make an influence if you can't make other people understand exactly what you think? That's the first thing. Second thing, once they understand exactly what you think, you need to make them agree with what you think. These are two different skills. Must be practiced and must be learned. If you're 20 years old and you want to change the world, you need to be having endless debates. Endless. Without resorting to name calling, not on Twitter like a dummy, in person. And you need to come across in a way that people agree with you. We can go back quickly and talk about the red pill. The difference between me when I talk to girls on these panel shows and every other guy when they talk to girls on these panel shows is, when I'm done, all the girls want me. Watch them. Watch the shows. I say the same thing, and by the end, the chicks are in love with me, as opposed to saying the same thing and the chicks thinking I'm a dickhead. That's the difference. I project my ideas and I make them agree with my ideas to a point where they're like texting me afterwards. I'm not saying anything different. It's how I'm communicating it. You can catch more flies with honey than hurting people sometimes. You need to be good at everything. You need to have a Swiss Army knife of tools. I know when to be intimidating or aggressive. I know when to come across as obtuse. I know when to come across as exceptionally open-minded and easy to understand. I know when to come across as understanding. I know all these things. This all has to be practiced. And a lot of it is, communication. I would say, if you're going to say to a 20-year-old who's truly exceptional and driven, I'd say you need to become a master communicator, because once you can do that, you can do anything. And that fixes all the other problems, right? We talk about making money. If you're a master communicator, you do fantastic in sales, you'll kill sales. You'll absolutely destroy sales if you're a master communicator. Not many people know this, but I used to sell windows. You know the old school knock on the door? Window sales. I did window sales for 2 or 3 years, and I'd say this is one of the hardest jobs you could possibly do. And I would always recommend a young man, if he has some time to waste, to go sell windows. And the reason, it's fantastic, because I'll tell you why. It's the hardest one to sell because, one, nobody wants them.
2, they don't know who you are. And 3, even if you convince them that they need windows after them not knowing who you are, then they go to all your competitors and then it becomes a price war. It's a nightmare. It's the hardest sales job. If you're selling a Lambo, at least they want the Lambo, right? Nobody wants glass and plastic. They already have windows. So you gotta find a way to sell them these windows. How do you do that? And that's where all this master communication comes in. And it's so many subtle little things. Being a good salesman is not necessarily being a liar. It's not being a trickster. It's just understanding what's going to make the person believe and understand what you say. If I walked in and said, would you like new windows? And they essentially said, no, we don't need new windows. Our windows look fine. I would say, but what about the security aspect? While looking at their 3-year-old child. And they'd sit there and go, what do you mean security aspect? And then I talk about how we had the lock 5000 and their locks are easy to break. As if glass isn't glass, it's all the same anyway. And you'd end up selling the windows. You have to find the triggers in people. There's another thing people don't understand about me and my message. Sometimes I sit here and I say things that piss people off because that's how you trigger people to make action. I have often written emails or done videos to, especially to men when I want to help men, to piss them off. You're a loser. You're a dumbass. Andrew, why you mean? Because you're not going to go to the gym unless I tell you you're a fucking loser. And you are a loser, and I'm not lying to you. You are a loser. The emotional trigger you need to get up off that chair is the fact that you're not important, nobody cares who you are, any girl you're ever in love with I could take, and you're insignificant. And when you die, nobody's interested. That's your fault. You could have been something else. You did that. You failed. It has to be done. You have to be a master communicator. And sometimes that involves also insulting people. It's all a massive tapestry, but to answer your question, for the 20-year-old, he needs to become a master at communicating. But also to be a master at communicating, you also need experiences worth talking about. You have to live a life. You need a degree of wisdom, and wisdom doesn't always come with age, it comes with life lived.
Anybody you can emotionally control, anybody you can emotionally affect, you have them in your pocket, right? To one degree or another. If you can emotionally control somebody, I'll tell you who's excellent at this. Women. Women are fantastic. If a woman realizes she can piss you off with X thing, she'll notice it, she'll keep it in her pocket. You know what? That annoys him. Cool, sorry baby, sorry. 3 weeks later, 2 months later, they realize when you're vulnerable. I can tell you this, I can tell you the experience from fighting. When I was fighting, I was a kickboxing world champion, right? I never made millions from fighting. Kickboxing is not that big a sport. 10 years ago, even UFC wasn't as big as it is now. So I was making money, but I was probably fighting 2 or 3 times a year. And most I ever got paid was 100, 150 grand a fight. So I was kind of normal life. And whichever girlfriend I had at the time, no matter what, she always managed to start some asinine, stupid, immature fight with me like 3 days before a fight. Because I'm weight drained, I haven't eaten, I'm nervous, I can't sleep. I've been training for fucking 10 weeks. This monster's from fucking Kazakhstan, some psycho. I have to fly over to fucking fuck knows where and Tishkek and Bishkek to fight him. And now she's like, you know, in the toilet seat. I'm like, the fucking toilet seat. I might die and he can kill me. But she knew that's when I was weak. She knew it. And that's when you can be emotional. But they detect it. This is when I can get it. And just sit on this computer. Go home then. Go to the toilet at home. Bye. No, I don't want to go home. No, now I actually want you to go home. Please leave my house. Oh, no, I don't want to leave. Bye. Goodbye. Next girl. So they get you when you're weak, right? And anyone who can emotionally control you and emotionally affect you has power over you. So if I say 5 wives and a feminist goes, 5 wives, I'm fat. I'll sit there and just, yeah, but obviously a lot of food needs cooking, so she needs help. And I'll just say shit, but that's because they make it too easy. Yeah. If you're playing chess and you hang a piece, I'm gonna snap it up. You're gonna leave your knight hanging. Thank you very much, sir. Bam. That's the game. That's the game. So yeah, you're completely right. I do instigate to a degree because they make it so fucking easy to win. It's so easy for me to win debates against people because they get so pissed off with what I say. Another thing, and I'll give the game away. I'll give the game away to the entire YouTube world, why I've destroyed absolutely everybody in any debate ever. I say things that they know are true and that they agree with, but I say it in a way that angers them emotionally, and they get caught up in their brain because they're saying, he's saying the truth, but I'm pissed off by how he's saying it. So I want to argue with him, but he's right. So instead of saying men are physically stronger than women, I'll say females are weak. Females are weak. Well, females are weak. Females are weak. Men are strong. Females are weak. No, but females are... But I'm right, and he knows I'm right. But he's mad now, and so is she, and they sit there, and it happen on Dave Portnoy. You end up having a whole group of people sitting there trying to argue, well, some women are strong like men, trying to argue the fact that women are as strong as men physically, because I've emotionally controlled them all and upset them all. And then I do a podcast, and I get billions and millions of views and unlimited likes against good debaters like Dave and his little crew,
by just emotionally controlling them. It's an emotional game. I wreck them. I've never given this game away before anyway. But this is what I do. I sit there and I say something they know is true in a way they can't agree with it, and I fucking control them all. Because they're stupid. If I was me, I'd be like, yeah, okay, perhaps I don't like the way you phrased it, but you're very true. That takes intellect. People are emotional. So this is why I wreck all of them. And you're right, I poke them on purpose. And it makes it very difficult to argue with me, especially if they agree with what I'm saying, but they don't like the way it's being said. That's where you see the full breakdowns, the full mental breakdown. That happens all the time. Well, emotions are feedback. The idea that men don't feel emotions is incorrect. We feel emotions. I would actually argue we feel emotions with certain emotions stronger than women. I would argue that we feel heartbreak stronger than women. I would argue we feel anger like a woman could never understand. I would argue we are extremely emotional. Rage, pure rage. It's feedback. So when you get the feedback, it's all about how you internalize it and how you process it, right? It's having, stoicism's not feeling emotions. It's feeling the emotion and going, okay, why is this happening? How much does this really matter? There's one more there I'd actually like to really disparage because it's the one that annoys me the most, where it says, I say that women should bear some responsibility for being raped. I'd like to take this time and explain what I was saying in long format video, which has been completely misconstrued. I was talking about a girl, having an argument with a feminist, and she was saying that we need to teach men not to rape. And I said, my dear, I love how idealistic you are, but I am realistic. Men are already taught not to rape. She's like, no, we need to go and change language at school and rewrite history and do all the shit they're trying to do to make men weak because they think that weak men don't rape, which is another argument I want to come back to because weak men are the most dangerous men on the planet. Let's talk about that later.
I think the world has always only ever been a battle for influence. Even if you look at the current battlefield, Ukraine is next door. It's 5 hours drive away. The battle in Ukraine is not just about tanks and trenches and grenades. It's a battle for influence. Who influences the people within this territory? Who is in charge of the thinking, the language, the mindset of people within this geographical area? Every single battle, every single pitched battle, every single argument, every single debate has always been a battle for influence. If you have influence, you're an extremely powerful person. All of us here are some of the most powerful people in the world. How many millions of people listen to us? We have massive influence. And I think you can have influence at the ground level. You don't have to be a famous podcaster or famously well-known to have influence. I would argue that those Romanian grandmas who gave me my food will remember me for the rest of their lives. I would like to believe I gave a positive influence and a positive impact on their lives for the rest of their life. I believe if you go through life and you're genuinely a good person, you try your best to be good to people, and you're honest, and you shake hands, and you don't lie, and you're on time, and you work hard, and you're good to everyone who's good to you, I think you'll have a massive influence. And I also believe, I truly believe that God is extremely giving. There's the saying, goes around, comes around. Completely true. But I would say it comes from God. God is keeping an eye on you, and he's paying attention to you, and he knows the kind of person you are and the kind of things you do. And I don't believe if you're actually genuinely a good person all of the time, that you're not going to get some goodwill back to you. Look at my scenario. If I was being a piece of shit for years with all these chicks, I'd be in jail. I'd be in jail. I could have never seen this coming. But the fact I was nice, paid their taxi home, bought them food, looked after them. Are you okay? I know we broke up. I'm sorry. I know it hurts. I just did it. I was nice about all of it. Here I am. I'm fine. And so I could have never seen this Matrix attack coming. It's amazing how what goes around comes around. It's truly amazing. If you're good to people, if you're generous to people, if you're helpful to people, you'd be amazed how much influence you can build up. I say this to people all the time. I don't think if you're a hardworking person who is honest, who shakes hands, who tries to learn, who does what they're supposed to do, who has a good heart, that you're truly, really not going to be able to get what you want. I think the universe is absolutely and utterly giving. When I see somebody who says they want something and they don't have it, I don't even think they truly even want it. You can have anything you want in the world. When a guy goes, I want a six-pack, then why ain't got one? If you wanted it, you'd have it. You'd like it. There's a bunch of things I'd like that I don't have, but I don't want them. Everything I've ever wanted, I've got. I've never wanted something and not had it. We all know what we're talking about here. There's things we'd like. I'd like to be able to figure skate. Not enough to go learn to figure skate, but
your doppelganger.
But if you truly want something, you're going to absolutely not have it. So when it comes down to influence, I think you start at the base level, at the grassroots level. And I think that
you know what I'm asking.
I know what you're asking. I don't know if there's one particular person I took nuances from, because when you're a great communicator, you know how to be serious and you know how to make people sad and angry, and you also know how to make people laugh. There's different people who can do lots of different things.
Who was that? Was it somebody that was multifaceted like that?
I think it was a lot of different people. And I also think that...
Did you pull from comedy as well, or no?
Certainly did, but I was also extremely self-critical. I think that's where a lot of it comes from. I'll watch this podcast back 15 times. I will notice every single time I made a mistake. Just then I said, I'll watch twice. That was a mistake. I will watch this back 15 times and I'll identify every single error. I have an email list, and I sign up and I get words of the day. I get 5 or 6 new words a day, which I try my very best to memorize. It's harder than you think to memorize 5 words a day, but I always try to make sure I have the most interesting vernacular I can possibly have, a wide vocabulary, so I can be very specific with my points. The reason I actually did that, I keep talking about my dad, but I'm his son. I have the same name, Emory Andrew Tate III. He was Emory Andrew Tate II. My father was a linguist for the CIA. He spoke Russian and German and Spanish and English. And I think I've told this before. Back then, when they needed someone who spoke Russian, they would take a Native American and teach them Russian. Nowadays, we have a bunch of Russian-speaking allies. You can go to Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. They're all NATO and just get a Russian speaker. Back then, they taught my dad Russian, and he held the Air Force record for the fastest assimilation of a foreign language. When he died, a guy sent me a message saying, "You don't know who I am, but I worked with your father in the Air Force," and he had the fastest assimilation. He learned Russian in 2 weeks. Crazy. And I remember saying to my dad, "Will you teach me Russian?" He said, "Boy, you don't even know English." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You don't even know English." And once he sat me down with a dictionary, I was like, "You're right. I don't even know English." That's why I've lived in Romania 7 years. People say, "Why don't you speak Romanian?" Because I don't know English yet. I had to finish the first job before I learned the second. I don't know English. There's a bunch of words I don't know. I can't speak how he spoke, so I don't have time for a second language. Yeah. Also, another thing I found really interesting, Putin speaks English. Have you ever heard him speak English? No. Because if you want to speak to Putin, you speak to him in his language. You speak to me in Russian. And I reply to you in Russian, so I cannot be misunderstood or misconstrued. I don't make a fool of myself. You can't get me on some vernacular trick. I speak my language, and I also prefer that also. I speak English, that's what I speak. If you want to speak to me, you speak to me in my language, so I will win the debate always. Because I always believed in trying to take the best parts of individual people and then amalgamate them. And I know you want a name, and I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I would look at people who I didn't even respect, but they'd have one particular thing about them. I thought, that's good. It could be somebody I didn't even like, but he dressed well. I think you just have to be perspicacious and look at people, and there's something you can learn from absolutely everybody, and just try and adapt it all. I'm not saying everybody should be clones of me. For everyone's individual, right? But there might be some things about me they find inspiring that they may adapt and take on board, and then they'll find some things from other people. But learning to speak is something I understood from a very young age how important that would be. That's a superpower. Okay, so first things first, you need to be worthy of respect. And you're gonna be worthy of respect through having things which are difficult to acquire. So first things first, the basic things, you need to be very focused on trying to make money, because people listen to you when you have money. They just do. Secondly, you need to be in fantastic physical condition, because when you're in fantastic physical condition, it cannot be bought. It must be earned, and people know that. When you're in, I don't know about you, if someone walked in to sell me something and they were obese, I would not trust them the same as if they were in fantastic physical shape. Because I'd say, I don't think you have dedication and heart. I don't think there's something about you that I just wouldn't trust you the same. So fantastic physical condition and money is the first thing. The second thing, whatever your ideas are, you need to learn how to communicate them. Speaking is a superpower in and of itself. You need to become a fantastic communicator. You need to be comfortable in all realms of communication. You need to be persuasive. You need to be comfortable arguing. You need to be good at debating. There's a lot of people out there in the world who have ideas that they can't even project into somebody else's mind. How are you gonna rule the world with that? How are you gonna get your ideas out there and make an influence if you can't make other people understand exactly what you think? That's the first thing. Second thing, once they understand exactly what you think, you need to make them agree with what you think. These are two different skills. Must be practiced and must be learned. If you're 20 years old and you want to change the world, you need to be having endless debates. Endless. Without resorting to name calling, not on Twitter like a dummy, in person. And you need to come across in a way that people agree with you. We can go back quickly and talk about the red pill. The difference between me when I talk to girls on these panel shows and every other guy when they talk to girls on these panel shows is, when I'm done, all the girls want me. Watch them. Watch the shows. I say the same thing, and by the end, the chicks are in love with me, as opposed to saying the same thing and the chicks thinking I'm a dickhead. That's the difference. I project my ideas and I make them agree with my ideas to a point where they're like texting me afterwards. I'm not saying anything different. It's how I'm communicating it. You can catch more flies with honey than hurting people sometimes. So you need to be good at everything. You need to have a Swiss Army knife of tools. I know when to be intimidating or aggressive. I know when to come across as obtuse. I know when to come across as exceptionally open-minded and easy to understand. I know when to come across as understanding. I know all these things. This all has to be practiced. And a lot of it is, communication. I would say, if you're going to say to a 20-year-old who's truly exceptional and driven, I'd say you need to become a master communicator. Because once you can do that, you can do anything. And that fixes all the other problems, right? We talk about making money. If you're a master communicator, you do fantastic in sales. You'll kill sales. You'll absolutely destroy sales if you're a master communicator. Not many people know this, but I used to sell windows. You know the old school knock on the door? Window sales. I did window sales for 2 or 3 years, and I'd say this is one of the hardest jobs you could possibly do. And I would always recommend a young man, if he has some time to waste, to go sell windows. And the reason, it's fantastic, because I'll tell you why. It's the hardest one to sell because
1, nobody wants them. 2, they don't know who you are. And 3, even if you convince them that they need Windows after them not knowing who you are, then they go to all your competitors and then it becomes a price war. It's a nightmare. It's the hardest sales job. If you're selling a Lambo, at least they want the Lambo, right? Nobody wants glass and plastic. They already have Windows. So you gotta find a way to sell them these windows. How do you do that? And that's where all this master communication comes in. And it's so many subtle little things. Being a good salesman is not necessarily being a liar. It's not being a trickster. It's just understanding what's going to make the person believe and understand what you say. If I walked in and said, would you like new windows? And they essentially said, no, we don't need new windows. Our windows look fine. I would say, but what about the security aspect? While looking at their 3-year-old child. And they'd sit there and go, what do you mean security aspect? And then I talk about how we had the lock 5000 and their locks are easy to break, as if glass isn't glass. It's all the same anyway. And you'd end up selling the windows. You have to find the triggers in people. There's another thing people don't understand about me and my message. Sometimes I sit here and I say things that piss people off because that's how you trigger people to make action. I have often written emails or done videos to, especially to men when I want to help men, to piss them off. You're a loser. You're a dumbass. Andrew, why you mean? Because you're not going to go to the gym unless I tell you you're a fucking loser. And you are a loser, and I'm not lying to you. You are a loser. The emotional trigger you need to get up off that chair is the fact that you're not important, nobody cares who you are, any girl you're ever in love with I could take, and you're insignificant. And when you die, nobody's interested. That's your fault. You could have been something else. You did that. You failed. It has to be done. You have to be a master communicator. And sometimes that involves also insulting people. It's all a massive tapestry, but to answer your question, for the 20-year-old, he needs to become a master at communicating. But also to be a master at communicating, you also need experiences worth talking about. You have to live a life. You need a degree of wisdom, and wisdom doesn't always come with age, it comes with life lived. I had a guy message me, this is a long time ago when I used to reply to my own emails, too big now, but he said, I don't have any stories, my life's boring. I said, bro, where do you live? He said, Madrid. I said, bro, ride the train from Madrid to St. Petersburg. Ride the train from Madrid to Vladivostok. Do the Trans-Siberian Railway. Costs you like $300. He goes, oh, but what if I get robbed? Exactly! That's exactly the point! What if you get robbed? Now you have a story. Maybe you'll die, maybe you won't. But you have a story. Don't bring your watch. Have you got a Rolex? No one wants to rob you anyway. Don't worry about it. You're brokey. Get on the train. There has to be that degree of risk to even have a story, because when you have a story, then you can communicate the story. You can't be an empty vessel either. So when you say you're telling me how I build this 20-year-old into a super soldier, yeah, he has to be a master communicator, but he also has to do things which are risky. Risk has value intrinsically linked to it, intrinsically. This is why people, when you do risky things, people want to hear the story. Your coolest stories involve risk. Something went wrong, this could have happened, I almost this, I made it out. Without these risks, you haven't got it. So I would say to the 20-year-old, do what I did. Get in the cage. Get in the ring. Knock someone out. Get knocked out. Train hard. Fighting will teach you everything you need to know about life. You'll learn everything about who you truly are. You'll learn if you're a coward or not. You'll learn everything about perseverance and hard work and dedication. Everything about being underappreciated. You learn everything about fear. You learn all of it. You learn everything about people. You win a fight, check your phone. Lose a fight, check your phone. You learn all about people. You learn all about them. You learn all about women. I learned so much about women through fighting. When I had a fight coming up and I was weight drained and I had barely eaten in weeks and I'd lost all this weight and I had a world title fight and I'm fighting a guy who might kill me and she's complaining about the toilet seat. I learned all about women. You learn a lot about life through these difficult processes and paths. And there used to be for men like a rite of passage. In most societies, you had to go through something to become a man, from a boy to a man. But that thing was always difficult. It's always been difficult. Now you have to self-induce it, self-inflict it. But if you're going to be a boy and never bring on that self-inflicted rite of passage, how are you going to ever become a man?
It's great feedback.
What we're going to have is we're going to have a post-truth society, and then the only way they're going to be able to tell you what's true or not is some committee which decides what's true and what's a deep fake, and then they're going to be in charge of the world, and then they're going to lie to you, and then you're really in trouble. So that's going to be very interesting. Once you get to the point where, what did I say earlier about not being able to trust your own eyes? They're going to take that away from us soon. Then what? Then you're really in trouble. In regards to AI, I think it has to be adopted. Inside of my school, Hustlers University, we teach AI with absolutely everything. A lot of the images we generate, even on my Twitter account, is all AI. And what's actually scary about the modern world is, I don't consider myself old, I'm 36. But some of the children, I call them children, 17, 18-year-olds inside of my school, Hustlers University, they're AI wizards, and they can do magic with this stuff. Magic. Like they can literally, genuinely, Andrew Tate on the moon, and the image is generated in seconds. Like artists are going out of business. I thought AI would put truck drivers out of business. Artists are going out of business. Musicians are going out of business. It's kind of scary. I do like to think that with things like AI, there's always going to be some degree of natural separation between the men who are genuinely inventive and killers and the men who are more, let me change the way I say that. I think if you're an exceptional person, a truly exceptional person, you don't have to be afraid of nearly anything. But you'll probably agree with this. In my experience, in nearly every business in the world, you have 10% killers, and then you have a bunch who want the paycheck. They do their job, but I wouldn't say they're killers. You understand? Mm-hmm. And we live in a society for a long time where I can even tell you now, sometimes when I hire, I'll say to my cousin or to my COO, I'll say, look, either get one killer or 3 normal people. Because that's the reality. That's the basic. You either need 3 people to half do the job or you need 1 killer to do the job. And I think that those 3 people who half do their jobs, enough to not get fired, they turn up most of it on time, but they're not really that motivated. Those are the ones who have to fear AI. I think businesses in the medium term are going to become killers and AI. I tell them now, I have some guys who work for me on one particular company and their sales staff. I was reading through the sales scripts. The killers doing really well. But the average guys have said, you're not doing much better than ChatGPT could do right now. I want to warn you that you're not doing much better than I could replace you with a machine today, let alone in 5 years from now, for free. You need to be careful. So I think it's just becoming more and more competitive. The idea that you can just be Joe Schmo, do your job, turn up, I don't try that hard, it's fine. I think that's all going to go out the window because as the world becomes more competitive, as a company, you have to compete with your competitors. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is just where do you cut the fat? Where do you cut the slack? When I see AI popping up and getting more and more intelligent in the way it's talking, that doesn't scare me. I have a way with words. If I was Joe Schmo, I'd be afraid. This chat GPT can probably text your girl better than you can. He'll probably get laid faster than you will.
Advice for the guys out there right now.
Just plug it into your phone. It'll do better than you do. So that's scary, you know?
That's hilarious.
I think that's what the average man really needs to struggle. And I've been saying this has been my message for a very long time in all realms. I've said for a very long time that life for the average man is going to get harder and harder. It's becoming more and more competitive. You need to find more and more ways to stand out and be unique. And the only way to really do those things, unfortunately, as a man, is to suffer. And that's one of the reasons I'm kind of glad that God put me in jail, because if you look at anything that builds a man into a man, there's a degree of suffering. It's very hard to become a man and have a man who's respected and has stories and is capable when he only had a nice life and nice experiences. It's usually the things that made you the best version of you are usually the worst things that happen to you. So the demons I carry from jail, the fact that I can't sleep. The fact that I can't sleep, I've had girls say to me, you can't sleep, you need to see a psychiatrist. And I said, absolutely not. I would be furious if a psychiatrist walked in here and took my demons from me. I don't care if they could fix me with a click, they're mine. And they were bestowed to me by God. And they are mine to deal with and they are mine to fix because that's how I become a better version of me. I would be furious if someone took them away from me. I'm glad I can't sleep. Good, I can train endlessly. That's why I'm bigger than I've ever been. I'll train I'm not going to waste a minute. But all the demons that have been given to me by God and all the problems that have been given to me by God are mine to fix. I would never, ever allow anybody else to take them from me. I'd be furious. Mm-hmm. If a psychologist came in and said I could cure you, I'd say, no, thank you. I will cure myself. I don't care if it takes 10 years. I'll cure myself. That's my job. And I know that when that's done, I will be more mentally resilient than I ever would have been without jail. That's the whole point of it. Right? So many men say, I want to be the man, but they don't want to suffer. They don't want to fight. And I don't understand why, because even if you look at a superhero movie, they tell you, even in superhero movies, they make it very clear. Batman's parents died. That's why he's Batman. All the bad things have to happen. There's no way to get there without the bad things. I get so many emails from people complaining about their bad things. And I don't have time to reply to any of them. But if I could, I'd say, good. Good luck. Congratulations. Off you go. Of course she broke your heart. Of course you're sad. Of course you miss her. She's with me now. That's life. That's part of it. That's the only way you're going to get to that level of resilience. You can't become the man any other way. So yeah, I thank God for everything bad that's ever happened to me and all the demons. And I trust that he's not going to give me anything I cannot, in the end, decipher and deal with. In the end, I think it's a puzzle. And you decipher it and you work out the best way to deal with it and you internalize the good parts and you become a better and stronger and more resilient person for it. Mm-hmm. So I have to thank God for every single one of them. If being average is not acceptable anymore. At all. It's not acceptable anymore. And it's not acceptable in the sexual marketplace, but it's also just not acceptable, I don't think, even in life anymore. Period. You have to diversify now so much to even protect yourself. The idea that you can just be a law-abiding citizen in a country and just work your job and be okay is gone. It's gone. If COVID doesn't prove that, I don't know what will. Yeah. Look at my situation. You have to diversify. You have to be smart enough that
You have assets and friends and capability and lawyers and whatever all over the world now. That's the only way to protect yourself. You can't just sit within one jurisdiction and go, oh, well, but I don't speed, so it's going to be okay. I don't think it is. I think it's coming to a point where it's not going to be okay. And AI is going to make it harder and harder again for those average men. It's going to be harder and harder. I don't think the exceptional men are ever going to suffer from AI. I think we're going to use AI. My mother always says to me, I'm glad I'm not young. And I'm starting to say that now. I'm glad I'm not young. Because I'm telling you, it's going to be scary, right? Because the world is hyper-competitive. Every single thing in the world is competition. I don't think people realize I'm a hyper-competitive person because I understand that every single thing I want, somebody else wants. The girl I want, other people want. The car I want, other people want. The house I want, other people want. The lifestyle, the jet, every single thing you want, somebody else wants. It's a massive competition. As a man, you have two choices. You either accept that it's a massive competition and try and play the game, or you just try and pretend it's not a competition and live in perpetual failure. And it's going to become hyper-competitive. The world already is. You're not going to be able to compete with a person with a computer brain. So you're going to have it because you can't compete. Then once you have it, then who knows? Can they turn it off? I don't know. Can they turn you off? I don't know. Can they inject the slave mind programming directly through the chip? I don't know. That's scary. I would never want to do that, but it's going to get to a point where you're not even a person without it. You can't function without it. You're a second-class citizen without it. That's the idea of demoralizing your opponent. I'm an Aikido master because I take my opponent's attacks, like putting me in jail, and I Aikido it and use it to become the most famous man in the world. The art of fighting without fighting is avoiding a fight in the first place. And sometimes I sit around here above the peasants below in some penthouse, in some expensive apartment of some of them expensive 5-star hotel. And I look down at all these people and I wonder, do these people truly believe they can even escape? Do they want to escape? See, the Matrix has different ways of controlling you. The first thing it does is it come along and it tells you, rich people aren't happy. Money isn't happiness. Don't try and get rich. That won't make you happy. Just get in loads of debt. That'll be better. Get a degree. That's what they try and do. First, they try and convince you that you don't want to escape. So you say to the fish when he's in the fishbowl, it's nice in the fishbowl. What do you want to leave the fishbowl for? It's great in here. But is that because they love the fish, or is that because they're in charge of the fishbowl? For those who are perhaps too intelligent to fall for that garbage, then what they try and do is convince you can't do it. They demoralize you. They come along and say, well, not everyone can be rich like Top G. Not everyone can be a billionaire. Look at the statistics. Look where you're from. Look at your skin color. Look at your socioeconomic background. Look at that idiot beeping his horn. Some garbage reason for why you can't get out, why you can't escape. They demoralize you. And I sit here and I wonder, as I look at the peasants below, a large proportion of them don't want to escape. Well, I don't want to be rich. I just want more time to relax. Losers, slaves. Enjoy the oncoming enslavement, which is going to be bestowed upon your bloodline because you are a fuck up and you deserve it. Then you have the others who want to escape, but they don't believe it's possible because they've been demoralized. They have fallen for a different type of side. And I wonder, if I were to ask you, do you actually, truly believe in your heart that you can escape the Matrix? Do you believe you can do what I have done? Do you believe you can make $1 million a week and buy a new car every week and get arrested and become more famous and doesn't matter and come out and have all these famous friends and travel the world and all these women can adore you? Do you actually believe in yourself, or have you been demoralized? Self-belief is something that is purported and pushed. It's something that is advertised by a bunch of people. You got to believe in yourself, and you have to understand, you don't have to believe in yourself for all the hippie garbage reasons they're giving you. You have to believe in yourself because every single time you're going to want to do something which is exceptional, you're going to have to suffer. And the only way you can suffer is if you believe you will reach it to the other side. You believe it will work in the end. If I set you on fire and I tell you that eventually, in 15 seconds or so, I'll put out the fire, and you believe me, you'll be able to sit there engulfed in the flames of poverty, and you'll be able to meditate and use your mind to resist dying because you believe it's coming to an end. If you don't believe I'm ever going to put the fire out, you're done. In fact, you're toast. And the reason for that is because you cannot endure the pain required because you don't ever believe you're going to get to the destination you are hoping for.
To get to the end, you have to believe in yourself because you're going to suffer and it's going to hurt. And the only way you're going to get there is if you truly believe you're going to make it. So when I ask you, do you believe you can escape the matrix? Do you know what you want? Do you believe you can achieve your dream life and not be like all of these other idiots down below who don't want to escape or don't think they can escape or think it's too hard or think it's too difficult? Do you truly believe you are that guy? Because not all of you are going to make it. But the ones that do make it are going to be the ones who believe they can make it. I always knew I was going to make it. I knew I couldn't be like all of these brokies. I couldn't do it. Couldn't be a brokey. Couldn't be a wagey. Couldn't be a worky. No, sir. I knew I deserved better. Had to be a way out, and I found it. You have to believe in yourself. Now, we're going to go a step further because I don't want to sound like any of these hippie self-help guru idiots. When I say believe in yourself, I don't mean sit around on your ass jerking off believing in yourself, because that is just a fast track to nowhere. I want you to believe in yourself because you have built a self-image which is ruthlessly created via difficult experiences you have deliberately undertaken. I want you to go out there and do difficult things on purpose so that if you ever catch yourself with any self-doubt, and self-doubt is insidious and dangerous. It's like a little seed, but it grows into forests of inaction. Once you doubt yourself, these large forests of, well, maybe it's too hard, maybe I'll fail, and you just sit and do nothing, waiting to die. I want you to go out there and do difficult things so that if you ever doubt yourself, you can say, well, I succeeded in this situation. Why can't I succeed in that situation? I became a 4-time kickboxing world champion. I survived a Romanian dungeon. I survived the matrix attack of cancellation. Why can't I succeed with X or Y or that bitch? Anything. That's the beauty. But my self-image is built in brutal competence because I've been out there and been a combatant against the matrix for so long. I know I can't lose anymore. You have to go out there and do difficult things on purpose so that you believe in yourself. And then you have that self-belief, which is built on real-world experience. And the real-world experience has taught you skills, and you believe you're going to make it out, and nobody else believes it, but you do. In your heart, inside, you know you will escape the matrix, and that is how you're going to escape. It's kind of amazing how something so intangible, emotional, like absolute self-belief, can play out so heavily in the tangible world of bricks and mortars and Ferraris and money. But it's the physical and metaphysical that combine. That's what makes life so beautiful, all the things we understand and all the things we don't understand. But often I say to people, what's your dream? And they say, I want to escape the matrix. And I say, but will you? And I see in their eyes the flicker of doubt. They're confused by the question. Andrew, I want to escape the matrix. Will you? They don't know. They have no idea if they will or not. They don't believe if they will or not. They've never thought about that. It's easy to think about what you want. It's difficult to think about what you're actually going to have and do, because then you are accountable for that. Now you have to take action. I want lots of things, but I know which things I'm going to be able to do and which things I'm not going to be able to do. So please understand the matrix operates on different levels. They convince you to not try and escape. If you do want to escape, they convince you can't. You must believe in yourself and you must test yourself. You must become so brutally competent that you know there is nothing you cannot achieve. And when you've done those things and you truly believe, and the universe, by some freak accident, decides to place me in the exact place you are, you're walking down nobody's street in a no-name town, and you see Andrew Tate, the top G, and you say, I don't believe it. It's you, it's Andrew Tate. I watch all your videos, I love your stuff. I want to escape the matrix. You should know exactly what to answer when I reply. You know what? When I was younger, I grew up in the south side of Chicago before moving to Goshen, Indiana. I was from a disadvantaged area, the ghetto, you could say. And I used to hear people say, especially my dad's friends, one of them was a gangster, one of them was a pimp, bro, I caught a case. I remember saying to my dad, what does caught a case mean? He goes, it's like when you catch a cold. Sometimes you just catch a cold. You just catch a case. Like, yo, got a case again, but I just caught one. Happens. I always thought that was a strange premise. Well, if you do nothing wrong, how can you catch a case? God taught me that. You just catch a case. You wake up, you're a G, you're doing your thing, you're going through life. Women love you, good friends, making a bunch of money, everything's fine. Boom, caught a case. It's like when you go to the grocery store, come back with a sniffle. Happens. So I caught a case, went to jail, Romanian jail. And when I was in jail, I used many methods to make the overall experience more pleasant. One of the things I did is I repeatedly looked around jail, as desolate
and desperate of a situation it was. With the cockroaches, with the lack of food, with the hole in the floor to piss in, with the mentally ill people, with the screaming, with the 3 suicides in the first 2 weeks, with the guards who constantly threw everything all over the floor, with all the garbage we went through. I thought, where would I hate to be more than this? Where would be a worst place to be? And I came up with a bunch of scenarios. There's actually quite a few. You think you'd go to jail, but there's actually a bunch of places you'd rather not be than jail. You wouldn't want to be in a car wreck. Imagine wake up, you're in a car wreck, your leg's gone. That would suck. You wouldn't want to be in Ukraine right now in a trench. That would suck. So I was coming up with a bunch of scenarios. One of the scenarios I came up with, I wouldn't want to be on a submarine. Now we're not going to talk about the Titanic submarine thing, because that's just dumb. Bro, that's stupid. Let me explain to you why that's stupid. I was talking to someone the other day, and she was like, you got loads of money. Would you ever do something like that? I was like, no way. Because I have loads of money, yes, but I grew up disadvantaged. And I think when you grow up disadvantaged, you have this different sense of danger. If you're like a billionaire white boy, you'll go swim with sharks. I've never seen anyone from south side of Chicago say, I want to swim with sharks, ever. You could make them all win the Powerball 200 times in a row, and none of them would ever wake up and go, I'm going to go swim with sharks. Our life is extreme enough. I've seen enough danger. Fuck the sharks. No. Don't want to go anywhere near sharks, and I don't want to go to the bottom of the ocean. I'll tell you why I don't want to go to the bottom of the ocean. If my man, Mr. Idiot Professor who got crushed, came to me and said, I built a submarine, all right, and we can go to the bottom of the ocean, okay, and we can explore the Titanic. Say, okay, how do we see the Titanic? Well, through this television screen. Fine. Then why do I have to go? Why can't we just send the sub or send a drone and I watch it from a television screen up here with my bitches? Why the fuck am I getting in a fucking tube to watch it on TV anyway? What? Please make that make sense to me. You're watching it on a screen in a tube instead of watching on a screen on the left. Why? And why wasn't there a chain attached to the submarine? So when there's a problem, it's just like, boom, yank it up. I know that must not be possible for some reason, but I don't buy it. Must have been possible. Whole thing's stupid. Anyway, I'm not even talking about that submarine. I'm talking about a normal submarine, a functioning battle nuclear sub, a real sub. I was sitting there with Tristan saying, I bet life on a submarine would be shit. And he goes, yeah, who even joins the Navy nowadays? I was like, bro, fuck knows. Fuck knows. The age of exploration is over. We can look at Google Maps. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to see. You're not a pirate. What are you doing? You're on a sub. You join the Navy, you go to the submarine. Cool. You're in the submarine now. It's underwater. You're there. You have a job to do. I guess you press some buttons a couple hours a day. You go to the mess hall, you eat. It sounds like jail. With the chance of dying, of course. Probably worse than jail. But I thought, you know what? Life on a submarine may not be that bad. So let me go and do some investigation. So since I've been out of jail, I looked up life on a nuclear sub to see what it's like. And I learned that they have, I think the day has different number of hours in it. I think they have 18 hours in a day. They change it. They get rid of the 24 hours. There's 18 hours in a day. And you do 6 hours sleeping, 6 hours work, and 6 hours recreation, something like that. And then most parts of the submarine you never even get to see because it's all classified. So you're a loser. You wake up in your loser bunk. You go to your loser station. You do your loser things. You go eat your loser food. Go to the loser gym. Back to your loser bunk on repeat. People are doing this voluntarily for a very meager wage. Don't understand it. They're doing this. So I was sitting there going, well, there's no freedom or exploration or fun in that. It's not even like you're on a boat. You can't even wake up in the morning and look out the window and go, oh yeah, wow, this is the ocean. Nah, bruv. See nothing. So I was like, that's dumb. So then to highlight how stupid all of it is, when I was watching this documentary, they had a sailor who was talking about his mission. And he felt very proud that he was serving the Navy and he was protecting his country and he was doing such a fantastic job. And he was in such a dangerous part of the world. Interesting. It's like, how do you feel in danger in a submarine? But he was saying, well, it was actually during the Syrian conflict, during the Syrian civil war. I think when Russia just got interested in Syria, the West sent some subs near Syria. And he said to me, yeah, we're in a very dangerous part of the world right now. Obviously, there's a lot of nuclear powers and a lot of other countries which have vested interest in this part of the world. So we're particularly on high alert. We're in a very dangerous area. And I was like, I wonder where he is. So I picked up a map. Literally, I paused the video, picked up a map. I looked where Syria is. I looked at like the Med, looked around like Egypt, Red Sea, whatever. I was like, well, I know where he is. By coincidence, like after I clicked on pause, 3 seconds later, after I said he was in a dangerous area, they showed where the location of the sub was. My man was in fucking just off the coast of Croatia. I was like, gee, I've been there on a yacht with women. You're talking about a dangerous area. You had me thinking you were in the middle of a fucking nuclear war zone. The way he said we're in a dangerous area, it's a really dangerous part of the world. There's a lot of countries around right now, and there's a lot of vested interest in this area. My man was literally 200 miles off the coast of Croatia. He was literally exactly where my yacht was. And I sat and I paused. I said, Tristan, look at this shit. When we were on the yacht with all those women and our staff and our big fat cigars, laughing, jumping in and out the water, having a great time, there was some dickhead 100 miles below us in the cold, walking around in a circle of imprisonment between the gym, his shit job, and his bunk bed, convinced that he was in somehow a dangerous part of the world. The psyop required for you to live that life is remarkable. If only he would have got his periscope and looked up and seen me and a bunch of big booty bitches, you might have realized he was getting fucking famoosed. Dumb. So, working on a submarine shit. Then, I tried to expand out from there. What other scenarios would be super shit? But just as I'm about to tell you, I'm remembering something that someone once told me. And someone said to me, Andrew, do you know why they're matrix attacking you? I said, why? So because you're coming for all of the largest psyops that they use to control the masculine youth. You convince people to not join the army and go die for their forever wars. You convince people to not join the Navy and go in a submarine so they can make endless profit off the back of you. You convince people to not go to university so they can put you in student debt and enslave you because you offer them money with the real world. These are platforms they've spent a long time and a lot of money trying to create, and they use their entire propaganda machine to convince people to adhere to and fall for. You can't just come along and become the most famous man in the world and say, don't go to university and don't join the army. You can't do that. Because if you do that, they're going to put you in jail. And I sat there and thought, that's interesting. And here I am, I just made a Tate speech about how submarines are fucking stupid. Now I'm about to tell you if you join the real world, you'll make more money than you never make in university. But because I understand the limit, I'm not going to tell you the other stupid places I don't want to go and the other stupid jobs I thought of, because basically all of them are in the military. So I'm never wrong about anything ever. I say that, and people go, oh yeah, no, please understand me. I'm never wrong. For the people who've just encountered me or my brand, you may not know this, but the OGs who've been following me for 5 or 6 years, no, I've been right about everything. It was day one of COVID. Everyone was afraid. I knew. It was bullshit. I just know things. How I know things, that's a good question. I have this instinct. I'm from the streets, and now I'm at the absolute upper echelon of masculine performance, the highest possible echelons of life, from the lowest possible echelons of life. I think I've learned a lot along the way, but even the other people I encounter who have had a similar trajectory, they don't know what I know. I just know things. And the reason I'm saying this is because, as usual, time, my friend, proves me right in the end. And time has proved me right about something else, which I knew from the absolute beginning was complete bullshit. Complete garbage. So today we're going to talk about NFTs. There was a time when very successful, rich people were trying to convince me to spend millions of dollars on a JPEG. And they tried to explain to me that it's on the blockchain and it's one of one and you can see on the blockchain. Who the fuck is checking the blockchain for my JPEG, G? Who cares? 3 million for a Bugatti, fine, drive the Bugatti. 3 million for a JPEG. People can just copy and save the JPEG. No, but my JPEG's the real one. It's on the blockchain. Look on the blockchain. If you go to etherscan.com, bro, what planet are you on? Nobody gives a fuck about Etherscan, checking the blockchain. Even if I proved, after all, that I owned that picture, guess who would care? No one. Only nerds. It was a circle jerk of nerds. And there was all these crypto influencers on Twitter. Bro, these are the worst people in the world, these people. All these crypto influencers. All unimpressive specimens of human. None of them have done anything difficult to actually make money. You know, if you want to make money in the real world, you have to learn skills along the way. If you want to go from $0 up to $10 million a year, you're going to have to learn how to deal with stress. You're going to learn how to deal with people, how to hold meetings, confidence, how to manage staff. You have to learn things. By the time you get there, you're going to be a better person, not just because of the wealth, because wealth amplifies who you are as a man, but because of the lessons you learn along the way. Whereas if you make a whole bunch of money with crypto, guess what you learned? Nothing. You didn't learn anything. You are still a dork, but now you're a rich dork, which makes you a mega dork. Money doesn't change who you are, it amplifies who you are. So all these crypto influencers, there's a couple of them, I don't want to throw names around. They were all over the page. Oh, this is the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Rough. The fact you think that's worth money shows that you've always been a loser, and now you're just a loser with money. There's no real G on the planet who is spending money on those NFTs. Not one. I'm extremely wealthy, and I could have invested in the most expensive NFT, 3, 4, 5 million, whatever they were, and it wouldn't have even affected my bank balance. I wouldn't have even cared. And I could have done it just as a, maybe I'll make some money. And I still didn't out of principle, because I refused to sell my soul to the god of geekdom. No. And here we are, 2 years, year and a half, whatever later. Who cares about NFTs? What'd you say? Yes, correct. Nobody. Nobody cares. As usual, I was completely right. Nobody gives a shit. Bro, I saw there was pictures of a rock being sold for like, I don't know, 100 ETH. I can't remember the prices. I just remember seeing it thinking, this is absolutely ridiculous. So I hope all of the people who invested in these NFTs lost all their money. I hope you're all desperate and poor. The great thing about people like that losing their money is they never learn any lessons along the way. So let's go back to what I said earlier about the fact that you make money in the real world, you learn lessons which can be applied to life. So if you make it in the real world, even if you lose it all, you can make it all again, probably easier because you're a better version of yourself who knows new things. Whereas if you make it all with crypto, which is basically gambling, you get lucky. You don't know anything new. And you certainly are not in the position to go and get a real job or work hard because you've once experienced easy money. So you're not going to wake up and think, I'm going to be a hard worker, money's hard to make. I'm going to be disciplined, and I'm going to be motivated. No, you're not one of them. You just want to win another gamble. And you sit there and go, if I can just pull it off one more time, this time I won't be stupid with the money. If I could just do it this once more, I promise I won't buy NFTs. I won't buy JPEGs. I'll buy real things. I'll buy stuff that matters. I'm sorry, God, just one more time. Let me go on Etherscan or let me go and Pancake Swap and buy some shitcoin, please. Do a 200x this shitcoin, please. And they just lose everything. Everyone just loses everything. Continuously gamble to oblivion. You know, one of the coolest things about having loads of money, and people have been speculating about how much money I have, but let's put it this way, I have loads of money. Let's say I invested $100 million tomorrow, chump change. If I get a 10% return, that's 10M. Easy, done.
Join us on Patreon for no ads videos.